Sorry about that, man. Welcome to the Revolutionary Agenda. I'm your host, Seduction Doll, aka the Black Villain, Lady Che. Call me anything but bitch. um, um, a little late, early morning stream because we just got off of Frontline Black News, and I got a couple hours. I just thought I'd go ahead and get this cracking. Since everybody else has been doing shows all motherfucking week, I feel like why can't I? so yeah, Chicago's Black Experience Enhanced has been going pretty frequent, live frequently. So we've had some opportunities to check a little bit of it out, participate a little bit when it suits us. I don't want to get into that too much. Just yeah. We just got done, like I said, doing frontline frontline Black News, um, part one, and that went well. Now we're gonna go into the RVA. We'll run through a lot of some of these topics that we didn't get to in the first part. Some of the stuff is redundant, for me to do over, considering they've been touched and tapped on by the new black media, which is good, which is a good thing. Um, so yeah, I'm gonna, you know me, I gotta do my own thing. Um, got the copyright up. Let's see. We got a lot of stuff going on this week for you, too. Everybody. We got a meeting that we're gonna try to film with this lady from Colorado, Black Justice or something like that. But we're gonna do my research because I felt some major tether vibes. I didn't like how she was. I didn't like the some of the interaction we had with her when we went down to the state capitol to listen to the beginning of the reparation stuff, um, their study and whatnot. I started to dig it, and then I felt like, nah, this seems like this is gonna be my intellectual property might be taken out, and they might just use this for their own nefarious things. Because once you make it for specifically for foundational Black Americans, they like to take it, strip it, add their own finesse to it, and it's for everybody. And that's not the case. That's not what I want my work for to be doing, especially when we're talking about a crime bill and it's kind of serious. Um, I have to really figure out the language because I don't. I just say whatever the fuck's on my mind. So I have to really work on that. But the gist is there. So I kind of have a little outline that I want to go over with, but not give up too much. But just like a outline. Major points that I think are really relevant and really important. Um, so that'll be on Thursday. Um, Also, trying to go to Monday City Council, see if I can get on, so I could talk shit there about one of three items that I want to talk shit about. And I was in the way of speaking to them. Hold on a sec. I was in the way of being on City Council this Monday, this last previous week, um, and they kicked me out. They let me in, and then they kicked me out. Like, and then they wouldn't let me back in, and that was that. So, um, yeah. Okay, so we got a couple things to run through. So stay with me, Black family. I promise I won't lead you down the wrong path. Let me get over here real quick. Let me see, motherfucker's still walking around. Let me see. Very good. It's really loud. It's like 4 o'clock in the morning. Motherfucker's still kicking it. Hold on. It's kind of refreshing actually versus Latino partying, but you know it's only refreshing to a certain extent. Let's see. Okay, hold on, family. Let's see. everything. Make sure I got everything right. What have I been doing all weekend? Being, I don't like being here by myself, so that's pretty much it. Um, okay. I gotta play this one real quick, okay? Um, it's from our city. It's from Denver. So that's what the fuck's going on.
Today, Governor of Colorado, Jared
What's
Polis. Governor, great to have you on the program. I appreciate it.
David, it's a pleasure to join you. It's about time.
I want to start with, Colorado is a very interesting state to me. I visited many times. It's got beautiful scenery, great breweries, restaurants, blue areas, and also quite a few conservative folks. And it's an interesting state in a lot of different ways. I would love for you to give us a little bit of the lay of the land of, with something like the recent tax bill as an example. What do the dynamics of Colorado lead to in terms of how such a bill is going to affect your state in terms of, be it rural hospitals, be it people who are entitled to but may struggle to retain benefits that they should get? Give us a sense of how you're kind of seeing this bill.
Yeah, well, as you said, the lay of the land physically is beautiful with our mountains, our beautiful vistas, and you're welcome here anytime. The lay of the land politically, we are a diverse state politically, and we also have rural areas, urban areas, suburban areas, areas that rely on the tourism economy, ag areas. So it's really a very diverse and significant size state. So one of the big impacts of the big bad bill, or whatever you want to call it,
Yep.
is really threefold. Obviously, everywhere in the country, people will be thrown off of Medicaid. Colorado won't have the same percentages as some of the higher poverty states, which tend to be red states. They'll have the highest percentage of people that'll be thrown off of Medicaid. But like every state, will be several 100,000 Coloradans that will lose their coverage. The loss of the tax credits under the Affordable Care Act means that in the exchange for everybody who buys their own health care, doesn't get it from an employer, rates will go up about 28%. Next year in January. I don't know where that's taxed nationally, David, but probably we could be in the middle. A lot of states will be more. It just sort of depends. But obviously, the loss of those tax credits is devastating. The final impact, and this is across rural America, is really how many of our rural hospitals will even be viable given the loss in Medicaid rolls, given the increase in cost of the exchange. When some people have a 20% increase, they're going to choose to go uninsured as a result because they can't afford that. And so we will be struggling with a lot of the same issues across rural Colorado that other states are that have rural areas. These are hospitals that we're barely able to get by as it is. And if we lose them, it means people will have to travel hundreds of miles just to get basic care.
I'm curious what you expect from Republican legislators that represent Colorado who voted for this bill. But as we sometimes see in American politics, then they show up in their districts and they take credit or attempt to take credit for initiatives that they did not vote for in Washington, D.C. Maybe they're put in place at the state level. Maybe they're put in place by a governor. You know, maybe I'm thinking of people in particular. Maybe I'm not. But how much political concern do you have, aside from just doing the best possible things for the people of the state, with those who are going to DC and voting one way and then wanting to come back home to Colorado and say, hey, thank me for this thing at a ribbon cutting or whatever the case may be? Do you expect that?
I don't know who will show up where for what, David. Our entire Republican delegation, including Gabe Evans, including Lauren Boebert, voted for the big bad bill.
Yep.
We are, of course, like most states, going to do what we can to save our rural hospitals. I mean, we can't make up for the federal loss, but we're going to try to. I certainly hope that the Republicans who voted for the bill don't take credit for state efforts to save the hospitals. I hope that those state efforts will be bipartisan. We're going to be working on that in the meantime. We're also going to do what we can to shore up the exchange, the health exchange. But again, if there's a 28% increase because of the loss of the federal tax credits, even if we can shave a few points off of that, it's still going to be a major increase for people. It could be 23, 24%. I mean, this is fundamentally a federal tax credit. There's only so much states can do.
Well, the bill is sort of interrelated with a bunch of other issues that include immigration, there's sort of like voting rights stuff, sort of distantly related. To talk first a little bit about immigration, what is your degree? To what degree do you want to cooperate with ICE's efforts in Colorado? And what is sort of over the line? And I ask this in a context where I've asked it of Governor Murphy and Governor Hochul and Governor Newsom. They've all had different answers. To different degrees, their answers triggered the ire of the MAGA people in Washington, D.C. Where are you on the ICE cooperation?
Yeah, I wish I got to hear those answers from my colleagues, Phil and Kathy. Very thoughtful. I would have suspected, David, that they would have given, and I would give the same answer, but you can tell me if it's different. But from my perspective, full cooperation on criminal matters, no question, absolutely. Making Colorado safer is a major priority, and no cooperation from state resources on civil enforcement matters that are the responsibility of the federal government. So that's where I draw the line, and I think it's similar to other governors, but you know that more than me.
No, it is similar. On the issue of local law enforcement being, fill in the blank, encouraged, asked, pushed, whatever, to inquire as to immigration status. How much power do you have over directing local law enforcement to do or not to do that? And what is your position on that?
So it is not the job of local law enforcement to enforce the broken federal immigration laws. That's the job of the federal government. We keep our local law enforcement focused on fighting crime, keeping Colorado safe. They cannot be taken over by the federal government to enforce civil law. So that's where that goes. If the federal government is engaged in a criminal investigation to protect people, we have full cooperation with them, and that includes aligning with our local and state resources. But no, they can't just take over local law enforcement and take them off the beat and away from the streets and have them do something else instead, because we need them to protect Coloradans.
I've read that there are some county clerks in Colorado refusing to comply with this Department of Justice request for voter data for one of these so-called election integrity reviews. Do you agree with the county clerks that are saying we're not going to provide that data?
I'm not as close to that with David. In all honesty, I haven't seen exactly what that request is and what's going on with that. We have a separately elected Secretary of State, and she'd be a good person to talk about that, as would some of the clerks themselves.
Generically, when you hear that the Trump administration is doing something called an election integrity review, does that make you think sounds really good, or does that make you suspicious?
Well, I don't know what they're seeking. Obviously, people can look up in our state. You can look up registered voter information. So that is, we do that in the campaign context, David. Right? When you're contacting voters who voted in each election, who do you contact, and who's the more likely person that might be a swing voter. So that data all exists on the political side. It's derived from information that is on the official side. Republicans have it just like Democrats have it. So I just don't know if there's information that's being sought that's not publicly available or not. But if you've worked, and you have experience on the campaign side, a lot of that data is out there. Republicans and Democrats have it, use it to contact voters.
On the issue of housing is interesting to me because whenever you look at the housing issues in a specific state and you talk to people working on the issue, there's sort of like a cluster of different ideas that are mentioned. There's sort of like the zoning side of it. There is subsidized housing. There are government programs. There's, do we want private equity more or less involved in owning or building? There's all these different kind of cluster of issues. One of the things that the data seems to consistently show is that however you can increase supply, it does help. And that even applies sometimes where it's like, oh, they're just building expensive condos that only a small percentage of people can afford. Well, if you increase the supply and the people who can afford those condos move there, it does alleviate some pressure somewhere else in the supply chain. It's not the perfect solution, but it just seems like supply is the number one path here. Do you agree with that? Because I know you've rolled out some housing initiatives of different kinds, first-time home buyers, et cetera. What's your philosophy on fixing housing?
Yeah, I agree completely. And I thought you articulated that very well. Supply of all kinds helps. Pricing is a function of supply and demand. The demand is high in Colorado. People want to live here. That's a good thing. But when we have artificial constraints on supply, it inflates the cost of housing. What are those artificial constraints? They're effectively local zoning and ordinances that don't let things be built, don't let homes be built, force multifamily homes to become smaller, not allow second homes or accessory dwelling units to be built on the same lots. So these are the kinds of things that artificially constrict supply for where people want to live. And as a result, prices go up. Average home price in the Denver metro area now about $600,000. So we have been focused on systematically taking apart these artificial constraints in supply. We now allow, for instance, accessory dwelling units to be built by right. We've taken away the ability to impose parking requirements on new construction. Let a number of parking spots correspond to the demand of the market, right? If people want one parking spot with a 2,000-foot condo, that's great. If they want three, that's great, but don't have a requirement that they build so many that go unused if they're not needed. So we're really focused on multifamily zoning by within half a mile of transit is another example. So these are the things that we've been focused on to just sort of allow homes and condos to be built to help meet the huge demand.
The data I was able to find about private equity ownership in Colorado is that 19% of apartment units are owned by private equity firms there. That's from the Private Equity Stakeholder Project. And then there's another report about investors owning single family homes. That's estimated to be about a quarter. Now, investor might be someone who has one rental unit. It doesn't necessarily, investor is a much broader term than private equity firms. But if we focus in on the 19% of apartments owned by private equity firms, do you think Coloradans are well served by almost 1 out of 5 apartments being owned by private equity?
So, by the way, one of the things we do is apartments for rent and in Colorado condos for purchase were out of whack because of some elaborate construction liability laws that we had. We fixed those. So we're hoping that more people build condos here. That's for ownership, great starter home, 200,000-300,000. There's also, of course, a role for rentals for apartments. And David, there's good and bad landlords of all types, right? I know people who have horror stories from their landlords that were not private equity. I know people who are tenants of one that's owned by a larger equity firm that are happy, not happy. I mean, there's good and bad landlords of all kinds. So I don't think you can really just connect the dots and say that they're all good or all bad of a certain type.
Well, I think that's true, but I do feel the need to push back a little bit because when you look at the resource, when you have a bad individual landlord, the resources and the pockets, the depth of the pockets of the individual landlord who has a couple of apartments is going to be very different than what a private equity firm and its pockets can sort of bear or tolerate in terms of litigation or disproportionate power. So I don't know that it's necessarily the same. I mean, I think it's true that there are good and bad landlords, but there's really good scholarship about the state of apartments owned by private equity on average is objectively worse. The responsiveness and the debt collection tactics are extraordinarily more aggressive. You don't draw any distinction between just an individual.
Well, I think you're asking the right question. So you ask the tenant, these are good questions. You say, look, when you have a problem, your water doesn't work or there's mold on your wall, is the response fast, right? That's what you need to ask. Of course, debt collection is another category. So, again, we should have more information on people kind of rating their landlords, but there are derelict landlords of all types and there's great landlords of all types. So I'd certainly be concerned if there was a concentration of ownership. For instance, if it was one private equity firm, then 19%. I don't think that's the case. It's many, but there's obviously a competition among landlords, and some of them have a bad reputation, and tenants are less likely to sign up for this.
All right, let's. I'm curious to hear from my audience what they think about your perspective on that. Let's talk a little bit more broadly about the Democratic Party. There's a very interesting anecdote in Jake Tapper's recent book about Governor Whitmer and the idea that in the chaos and concern about Joe Biden's reelection, which many felt was a bad idea as they spent time with him in 2023 and 2024, there was the idea of we've got to draft someone. Governor Whitmer's name came up, and this anecdote in the book is that she said, listen, I'm not doing that. If I do that and he wins, I am out essentially of the Democratic Party. I'm going to, she didn't use the term sort of like a sent to the leper colony, but this is sort of essentially what she was intimating. And I think the broader concern right now is that there is not really a cohesive plan to say, hey, we lost a lot in November of 24. This affects governors in a slightly different way because you're administrators in a way that, Lauren Boebert is not in Congress. I want to get your sense of what's the Democratic Party doing right now? What's the Democratic Party doing wrong? If you had to articulate what is the broader message to try to justify voters voting for Democrats in the upcoming midterms, where are you overall on this issue?
Well, that's a big question, right? But I would say, look, we should be the party of solutions that make people's lives better. And so when people are complaining about high healthcare costs, great way to show the differences. Republicans have increased healthcare costs by the big bad bill. We should also have a plan to decrease them, right? We're the party of education. In Colorado, we implemented free preschool and kindergarten. I think we should have universal preschool accessible nationally, right, as a country. I'm doing a lot of work about getting better outcomes in education. How can we make sure that kids are prepared for success in the workforce and higher ed when they graduate? We should lead with policy ideas on that. Housing, we've talked about, right? Let's be the party of removing barriers and making more housing that people can afford, close to job centers and where people can live. So the party of ideas and ideas that speak to the real pain points that people have.
What do you think the policies you describe seem to have been in place in 2024? What didn't land in that last election as you assess it?
In place? What do you mean? Many Democrats supported them, of course. I think that,
they were in place as policy positions. Sorry, I wasn't clear about that.
Yeah, I don't think that we witnessed the Democrats running on the power of those ideas. I was glad that Kamala Harris gave a nod towards housing reforms. That was, I don't know if she emphasized that in her campaign, but she had the policy there, which was great. In fact, it was one of her first policies that she came out with was housing. And I was broadly supportive of what she was doing there. I don't think we've had a candidate that's really run on universal preschool. Maybe it's in their platform somewhere, but the fact that I don't know and you don't know whether it was there or not probably means they didn't focus on it. And then healthcare, again, there's an even bigger distinction to draw now from the Republican plan, which increases your premiums on the private market, and Democrats who want to reduce premiums and increase coverage.
Governor, before I let you go, what don't you like about being governor?
Well, being governor is a great job. You're really able to get things done, David. And I served in Congress for 10 years, and I really was honored to do that. But it's very slow and frustrating at times. Being governor, you're able to get a lot done. So rather than just talk about things like free preschool, got it done. Rather than talk about building out 100% clean energy by 2040, we're getting it done. We're going to be at 80% clean energy by 2030 in just 5 years. So it's really where the talking part of politics ends and the doing part of politics begins. And I love it.
Right. But my question was, what don't you like about it? I think it would be interesting to hear about what are the frustrations of the office? And it doesn't have to be about individuals, but what are the things that, because you are an administrator and the buck stops with you in ways that maybe it doesn't with a member of Congress, what are those areas that the average viewer might simply not know you deal with day to day?
I'd say the toughest part is, when you go to funerals, if a state trooper dies in the line of duty, meeting with victims in a school shooting a few years ago in Douglas County and going to the hospital and, visiting the kids. So those kinds of things, funerals, visiting people in hospitals, those are not fun, but they're an important responsibility.
Yeah, no, that does not sound fun. We've been speaking with Jared Polis, the governor of Colorado. Governor, really appreciate your time and some of the insights into what's happening in your state today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, okay, well, you said a whole bunch of nothing, basically.
And while U.S. policies continue to put pressure on African nations, many African Americans are making a different choice. Ditching the American dream, they are returning to Africa to reconnect with their roots, reclaim their heritage, and rediscover their identity. So, what is driving this shift, and what could it mean for Africa's future? Our next report has more details.
The American dream, glorified pop culture and sown deep into the minds of people, has drawn many to the United States for decades. But that dream is getting a reality check and seems like it doesn't hold the same appeal anymore. For some, the real dream now lies deeper in their roots, in heritage, and in identity. Many African Americans are now looking beyond the US, packing their bags and heading home to Africa. Why? To reconnect, to feel accepted, and to reclaim their heritage. 38-year-old American YouTuber Austin Holloman is one of them. He moved to Kenya 9 months ago. He says the US felt broken to him. But on the other hand, Kenya feels warm, welcoming, and complete.
So I picked Kenya because I feel the safest here. People look similar to me, or you could say they look like me. It's not like going to Europe or going to some Latin American countries where there aren't that many Black people. And I think God just wants me here. It feels like I'm at home, like I fit in.
And it's not just about feelings. Politics is also pushing this change. Holloman says America's global image is not what it used to be. And with Donald Trump's return, he is worried what comes next.
He's creating global tension. So new countries are making it harder for Americans to even travel or to be a nomad in different countries. Like in Namibia, they deported Americans and they added new visa restrictions when before you could just fly right in. So Trump may not be the best solution for expats.
Holloman is not alone. Meet Kenneth Harris. He is an ex-military veteran, born in Atlanta 2 years ago. He booked a one-way ticket to Kenya. Today, he is hosting guests in an Airbnb and enjoying his dream life in Nairobi.
I've always had that adventurous spirit, especially when I joined the military, got to go to different countries and so me taking the opportunities to venture out to other places, that's what allowed me to make a home away from home. And Kenya is my new home.
Harris and Holloman are just two voices. A growing number of African Americans are making the shift. They want to connect with their ancestors and are calling the move coming home. And while Kenya is a hotspot, it is not just the only one. Ghana started Year of Return in 2019. It became a catalyst for thousands of African descendants to embark on the return journey. Last year, it granted citizenship to 524 Black diaspora members, mostly African Americans. Benin has followed suit. Last year, it passed a law giving citizenship to descendants of enslaved Africans. The American artist and Grammy-winning performer Ciara has just become one of the first to be granted citizenship. The motive behind this is not just cultural. Economists say this reverse migration could boost Africa's economies and help the continent to hold on to its talent.
In some way, America is losing talent, it's losing resources, it's losing the narrative that America is the land of dreams, is a viable place for anyone. There are abundance of opportunities. There is social cohesion, there is stability. This reverse migration is denting that narrative. So America is of course likely to lose, including things like brain drain.
So while more and more African Americans choose to return, they are not just escaping, but are returning to peace and purpose. And as they make that journey home, their stories aren't ending. They are new beginnings.
First post now available in 9 languages on YouTube. English,
$36 trillion.
French,
Le FMI, comme
German,
Geschäftsführenden Direktor
Hindi,
$30 trillion kataljo.
Indonesian,
Pemerintah tanpa pemeriksaan.
Italian,
Sekali radikali.
Japanese,
$4 以上.
Portuguese.
Okay, so back to this off-brand. I want to see what latest shit talking he had to do. So, I don't co-sign this individual's nonsense. He's opposition to everything we stand on. Um, oh wait, let me take that back. Hold on one second. This was important too. This just happened this week. Um, Benin.
Moving on to some news from West Africa,
Hold on.
where
Okay.
Benin has appointed its ambassadors in the US. And these are American director Spike Lee and his author-producer wife, Tonya Lewis Lee. The couple is expected to serve as thematic ambassadors. They are tasked with bringing people of African descent closer to their roots. In fact, the duo is also expected to raise awareness among people of African origin and support initiatives that promote their ties with Benin. President Patrice Talon's government said the move will help African descendants to reconnect with their historical, cultural, and spiritual base. The agreement was reportedly finalized during the couple's visit to the country's capital, Cotonou, last week. Lauding the appointees, the Benin government highlighted the couple's long-standing commitment to justice, exceptional creativity, and global reach, and even their role in shaping the contemporary narrative of the African diaspora, as the duo have been advocates for civil rights and social justice. Spike Lee is a well-known face in the US. His DNA analysis traced his father's lineage to Cameroon, while his mother's roots were from Sierra Leone. The filmmaker's work is often based on African American experiences and frequently explores themes of race, identity, and justice. But appointing Lee as Benin's ambassador is part of a wider initiative. Benin has also launched a website. It's a platform where people from enslaved Africans' lineage can apply for citizenship. Tonya Lewis Lee was reportedly among hundreds of such applicants, and reports suggest that she received a favorable response. Last year, the Benin government also passed a law offering nationality to people with an African ancestor taken from their homeland in the transatlantic slave trade. In fact, Benin's coastline was once part of the Slave Coast, a major departure point for enslaved Africans during the 18th and 19th century, who were shipped across the Atlantic Ocean to the Americas. Between 1580 and 1727, the Kingdom of Whydah, located on the modern-day Benin coast, was a major slave trading center. It is estimated to have exported more than 1 million Africans to the US, the Caribbean, and Brazil. And now, Benin is hoping to bring their descendants back. The Talon government also hopes to encourage people of African descent to take citizenship where eligible. Now, this is not the first time. In 2019, Ghana also launched a similar initiative and named it Year of Return to invite members of the African diaspora to visit Ghana. The move primarily commemorated the 400th anniversary of the arrival of the first enslaved Africans in the US. And just like Ghana, Benin also hopes people of African descent to reclaim their heritage, because their visits could boost cultural tourism, a sector that Benin already wishes to promote.
First post now available in 9 languages on YouTube.
Did you see all the trash in the water? Did you see all the trash in the water? Let's just say that. See all the trash in the water. God damn. There was a lot of trash in the water. Calm down. That was a lot. So you gotta go over there, clean it up. Like, there's no benefit. There's no tangibles in this. Like, there's no tangibles. You should go visit. There's tangibles in that. Like, you're the spokesperson to bring in tourists.
Man, Carmelo Anthony and Frisco ISD, it has been crazy. Now, I've been reading the comments lately, and a lot of people seem to think
this dude's like a fucking, it's the opposition. So, we're not on the same level, but I want to hear what they're talking about over there, and this is like what they're talking about on the opposition side. I always got some fucking off-brand shit to say. Always got some weird-ass speculations based around some white lady's fucking journalism when she want to cry white tears, and she's being doxxed allegedly, but it's the same shit she's doing to the Anthony family. You dig? So I don't feel nothing. I just want to hear what this cat had to say. Said the title says Carmelo Anthony investigators caused school to shut down video viewership due to illegal recordings. Let's
think
find out.
that somehow or some way the school facilitated this quote unquote leakage of video footage just for the very fact that they could have an excuse to not show the imagery or the footage to anybody else in the public. Now, I feel like this is unlikely, but not impossible. I feel like it is unlikely, though, because if the school district was ever caught influencing the case in any direction, you know, there's already rumor and they're already being blamed for having some sort of an effect on the case already. But if there was like definitive proof that the school mixed itself with the interrogation, then their credibility goes to nothing. Nobody would want to send their schools there. Everybody would lose their jobs. You know, things would be bad for the higher ups. So I don't think that the whole Frisco ISD is nudging things to go the way they did, but because it happened, because somebody went in there and did the whole piracy scheme, now they have a reason to not show this to anybody any further. So this is more so opportunistic behavior more than, I would say, a planned scheme, if you know what I mean. But anyways, Frisco ISD dropped like an 8-page report on the incident and the reasons as to why they will no longer be showing it to the public. And we did this on live stream, and I'm telling you, this thing is long and detailed. It also details multiple laws within it as well. So they're serious. And whether or not they should basically withhold all this information from the public completely. A lot of people are saying, and they're sending this to the Attorney General apparently. A lot of people are saying that this action was done on purpose to cause a mistrial and this, that, and the other. So overall, I feel like the school just wants to shut it down completely. And then a lot of other people were saying that the school wanted this to happen to have a reason to not show anybody the information. I don't think that's true, because you know, a lot of people have seen it already. If they really didn't want people to see it, they would have come up with something before they let, you know, a whole bunch of other requesters see it. So we're gonna go and check out this letter to the AG apparently, and see exactly what they're talking about. So it says, to whom it may concern, on April 2nd, 2025, a violent crime incident took place on Frisco ISD property at a UIL track meet held by David Kuykendall Stadium, K Stadium. This incident resulted in a tragic death of a district high school student and the arrest and indictment of another high school student for capital murder. This unspeakable tragedy has been compounded by worldwide social media attention and spreading of false narratives. Ooh, they even acknowledge that. They even acknowledge that people are just saying anything about this case. Spreading of false narratives and inexplicable and disgusting race-based vitriol, including threats made against Frisco ISD students, staff, and property. Along with media attention, Frisco ISD received a mass influx of public records requests for information, documents, and surveillance footage related to the incident and the individual students involved. Frisco ISD received a mass influx of public records requests for information, documents, and surveillance footage related to the incident and this individual students involved. Why did they add the individual students involved? Can you just walk in and be like, yeah, I want to know all that Timmy was doing on Friday? That shit would be crazy. Obviously, they're not releasing that information, but the fact that people are kind of like trying to include, like, oh yeah, I live in the town, so what kid was actually around him during that time? That's actually kind of crazy. Hopefully none of that information got released. The biggest problem about this, I feel like,
they know when they release that.
If information gets out, there's just so many kids. Every time there's like a case, there's like one kid. Two kids, maybe 5 kids, you know.
Check it out.
Like Ruby Frankie comes to mind.
Like,
but when you have a situation where
when they let go of the first video with the media, the news media, and they only said only certain people could go, you couldn't record, and they got a little gist of what happened. Right? They know exactly what's happening. And not to mention, the school has all this information. The school has information of who rode the bus to the fucking meet, who was on the bus, who had reason to be at the meet, who was playing in the meet, who got on the motherfucking bus, who rode with who, probably video cameras on the bus. because motherfuckers get rowdy at school. You know what I mean? And there's cameras everywhere. Not to mention they took like 29 motherfucking cameras from students and whoever else was over there, and they had news footage. So not to mention the cameras in the studio or in the stadium. They know exactly what's up. They're just trying to school's trying to protect whatever, but you can't. There's no way to because they had a field trip to another school to do a fucking activity. The activity went south for whatever reason. I have to say this that being a young black kid in a white area, you have to have a damn good reason to stab a motherfucker. You just don't just do it. You know what I mean? So while they're acting like, oh my god, and think that being black in America and being around nothing but white kids in white areas, you gotta have a damn good motherfucking reason for why you did that. Either way, you know what I mean? Either way, we know he did it. So what is all this extra rigmarole? Now you gotta just bring out the all the evidence, which his attorney's privy to. This is a privy information. Not to mention,
Where there's like
this is public
tens and
school, meaning it should be treated as such, like public
tens and
information.
tens of kids.
How did they get
I
it?
feel like that's where shit might get a little sticky. It might get a little spooky for the families. That's a lot of information to hold under wraps.
Parents
As we've seen from that damn TikTok live stream. AG Live always makes it a good day. What's up, DJ Fitz? How you doing? Witness intimidation. I
No,
think
it's school shit.
so. It might actually be a
School not
Metcalf
wanting
supporter
to
that pulled that stunt. I'm not trying
cooperate
to.
with the first initial thing that the lawyer fucking wanted. The lawyer sent out a subpoena. You know what I mean? This is school trying to be non-cooperative. You know, I think it's school should just give up the information because either way they're gonna find out one way or the other. If you impede the investigation, I mean, this is what our money's paying for. I'm pretty excited. This is what our money's paying for. FBA family, we're paying for this. We're paying for the investigators. We're paying for the motherfucking the defense attorney. This is where our good money's going. Carry on. That's how we need to look at this. The lawyer asking for all this privy information from the school and everything. Doesn't matter what roadblocks he's asking for it. He's demanding it. All you gotta do is issue another subpoena for it, and file a motion that they're being hostile or fucking uncooperative. You know, that's what our money's paying for, FBA family. That's what we gave all that money to for defense, for investigators, et cetera, et cetera. This is our money at work.
Not 100% sure. I'm not really on the TikTok space, and a lot of you guys are. So you and now, but if you want to go, you have to get strip search, and they have to cough search you and everything, like you're going to jail. Fuck it. You at least let it be available. But it's kind of crazy that
I don't think the opposition,
social media fucked it up for everybody.
To see.
And now I'm getting emails and listen to me. Listen to this, right? I'm not gonna show the person's email or anything like that. But I'm getting emails and people are saying, no, that's not how it went. She wasn't actually in the building. Her phone just
Factual background. In responding to previous public information reports, the video surveillance footage from K students during the incident on April 2nd, 2025, Frisco ISD custodian records identified a single video that was both responsive to the reports, but also contained another penalty. Hold on 1 second, let me blow this up real quick, okay? Let me make it bigger so I can read it. Okay. Let me see. I'm squinting.
happened to be on this
Surveillance video without zoom or another video enhancement shows a distant view of bleachers, a K stadium, at the movement of various parties. The original video depicts images that can be recognized as people but due to their size, the individuals cannot be individually identified. The single surveillance video is the relevant record for reasons explained herein. The record has not been provided with the report for opinion, but can be made available upon a request by the Office of the Attorney General with appropriate safeguards in place. The district established strict and appropriate video review protocols for the records to be ensured. I can't see that. Some public information. During the Public Information Act, reporters could review the record only in the original form and could not retain a copy, otherwise made their own recordings. Given the severity of the material, the district implemented strict security protocols for opulent review. I don't think that's the word of the record. When viewing of the record were previously scheduled, the district explained that the security protocols would be in a place for online review of the record prior to the requester's arrival. When the requester arrived, the requester was required to follow safety check-in protocols required for any visitor of a district property. After check-in, they were escorted to an office outside the conference room where the video would be seen. In the office area, reporters were asked to take out and store any personal electronic communications device capable of capable audio, video, or image recording, and place them in a secure area outside of the video review room. Once the devices were secured, viewers were escorted into the conference room and asked to take a seat and remain seated throughout the viewing. Each viewer was also required to review and sign a statement acknowledging they would not receive a copy of the video and may not record the video in any manner. Audio, video, or image capture is Exhibit A. Viewers were also permitted to watch the video in the presence of the district staff member. Following review of the video, reporters.
This is incorrect. You're spreading false narratives. Well, I guess the school is spreading false narratives too, because they kind of seem to think that you were recording just like what we saw. All right, factual background. In responding to previous public information requests for video surveillance footage from K Stadium during the incident of April 2nd, 2025, Frisco.
This dude. Okay, so let's go a little further.
Move on with real evidence, which is kind of tricky. If that's the only video that they have, they're
have 29 other videos.
Second phone or some shit.
This is just one of those.
You said no bond for OJ.
The devices were
once those devices, I mean, that was a fucked crime. I mean, if he got bonded, asked to leave the building. See statement from.
And it says, on July 16, 2025, Public Information Act reporters were scheduled to review the footage of supervision of Miss Michelle Ariello, executive assistant of the superintendent. During one such scheduled viewing, 2 reporters completed the check-in, were escorted outside the viewing area, and were asked to deposit personal communicative devices. Viewing instructions were then provided, and the viewers reviewed and signed the acknowledgement for non-recording parameters requiring for viewing. While screening of the video surveillance, the district administration building front desk recipient received a call from a member of the public stating that someone was live streaming their video footage. The front desk recipient then messaged Miss Ariello, whatever her name is, to inform her of the reported violation of the video footage review protocol. Ms. Ariello then informed Dr. Withrop, superintendent of schools, of the report, Dr. Wildrip entered the viewing room and asked if anyone was present was recording, but reporters denied recording. Because of the reporting violation of security protocols, the Public Information Act, reporters were asked to leave the building. See statement at the front desk reception attached to Exhibit D. Thereafter, the district's communications department learned that one of the viewers live streamed from the K Stadium is in the live stream. The Public Information Act reporter could be seen walking around K Stadium and pointing out where the district security cameras were mounted on the stadium's structure. The further discussed that they knew where the cameras were located based on the review of the record. See the recorded live stream attached to Exhibit D. Later that day, Public Information Act reporter was open to a live stream discussion forum talking about her on-site review of the recording. During the live stream discussion forum, the Public Information Act reporter admitted to hiding a recording device in her pocket and continued to record while viewing the video footage despite being told by the district staff the recordings was not made permanent. That she stated that the planned report to review the record again, something information she was able to collect on July 16th. They were all doing that. All the motherfucking reporters were talking about what they saw and directing the cameras in the stadium on all the news outlets. So
in her pocket.
The district then reported the conduct to Frisco Police Department. The police report July 17th in the district undertaking that the Frisco Police Department currently investigating whether Public Information Act reporters conduct violated Texas Penal Code section. The document is a government body and is invasive, recording it to a location where there's a reasonable expectation of privacy at this time.
And continuing to record while viewing the video footage, despite being told of violators as well as the scope.
There's a reason. Okay. However, based on the significant breach in the district viewing security protocols, members of the public, the district cannot continue to show the surveillance footage to public record without jeopardizing the confidentiality of students' personally identified information, except under release under whatever, compromising the validity and safety of the district surveillance camera systems, exception in the release under whatever. The inadvertent obstruction of ongoing law enforcement investigators and prosecutorial efforts, exception to the release. Each applicable exception is discussed in greater detail below. Then goes into Texas Code. It says the district video review line district procedures with the Texas Government Code, and under which Frisco ISD retains copies of district security footage and incidents internally and makes security footage available for the review of the public upon requested when the identifiable images of students are present. However, a copy of each security footage is not released to a reporter. Instead, the footage must be viewed by the requester, in person at the district building. Surveillance camera footage of the district release related to specifications and location of security systems cameras are used to protect the public property from an act of terrorism or related criminal activity. I'm thoroughly worried about the goddamn stadium. That could compromise the overall security of the district properties and the student staff and families who use them. They're worried about their goddamn property. Hell no. All the journalists were doing that. Okay. Fiscal ISD prides itself on being transparent with the public and working within the confines of the law to permit public access to district records based on the invested live stream of Public Information Act. Um, requester specifically pointed the location to various district surveillance cams. All of them did that. All of the reporters in that area were doing that. It was all over the news. Um, cannot be sacrificed as the physical safety of the school buildings or the students or staff who learn and work there. At the time, continued viewing of the record significantly jeopardized student and staff safety through overexposure of the district security system information. As a result, sections should be enhancement. The government code defines student record information constitutes as education record under FERPA. Under FERPA, an educational record is and it keeps going. The student, I'm just going to scroll down a little bit. Parties, behalf of the agency or institution. The records include, but are not limited to, the grades, transcripts, lists, students, course schedules, health records, student financial information, post-secondary level, student discipline files. Information can be recorded this way, and not limited to harassing prior computer, media, video, and audio tape, film, microfiche, and email. Let's see. Where a record contains personally identified information, student including identifiable imagery, student in the footage protected by FERPA, third-party requester without prior written authorization to the student if the student is over 18. While the records does not contain identifiable students' information when reviewed on its original form with prior viewing controls, if released to public through permissive release or invasive recording, once the district control, it could easily be subjected to zoom, video enhancement, etc. Unidentified images into the district maintains care and control of the video file and viewing format. Okay, look, man. If they were gonna do that, they would already did that. The news report would have already did that. They got many motherfuckers on payroll to do that type of shit. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so basically, Texas government, then it's all this shit blacked out. So, let's see. Okay, person witness reported initially. TikTok showed inside the administration building. The woman live streamed the lady at the front desk. Celia, seen, told she would be allowed to use her phone while viewing the video. Another lady came and got her and told her she couldn't use her phone. The video drops and you could see anything, but you could hear someone's throat clear. People said that the chat that she shouldn't have her phone on, but she didn't stop filming. Called us to let us know about the live stream. Wow, so somebody was over there. Somebody was over there spying on this lady's TikTok, as it went live. I wonder what kind of setup that was.
Statement from Celia Chavez, front desk receptionist. Chavez, Celia, July 16th. She says, at 1:30 p.m., received the call. At 1:30 p.m., received the call from blank. The conversation was about the video, and I started my spiel about how to request to view the video, and she said, no, there is someone there watching the video.
Yeah, I see that.
Still confused, I said, are you asking if someone is watching the video right now? She said, I am telling you, there's someone watching the video, and they're recording it and live streaming it, and there's a woman there watching it also.
Hmm?
I wonder who called. A lot of people say Sarah Fields called. I don't think she called,
First of all,
because in order for Sarah Fields to have called, she would have to like always be on these live streams. And the only people I know who are chronically on TikTok live streams are these fucking these people who don't have jobs and shit. Anyway, thanked her, and she said, "Oh, it just went off." Oh, it just went off. This is when I wrote her number and the name and thanked her again and assured her I would get to the info ASAP. She commented that her blank, a DPS officer, and she knew better. Huh. Thanked her and asked Nandini. Thanked her and asked Nandini to text you and went up to catch you in case you didn't have your phone in the room. 4:02 p.m. edition. So I checked the camera since Blank told us it was the woman doing the video. She had a phone in her hand, but laid it flat on the counter. But she was wearing glasses on her head. What did I tell you guys? I told you they were gonna come through with the Meta Google glasses, bro. They were gonna come in with the Meta glasses and try to get some video and audio. They thought they were James Bourne. That's the new superhero we're gonna make, James Bourne.
man.
They thought they were James Bond or Jason Bourne, whichever way you want to do. She had her phone face down, and she had her glasses, her mysterious glasses, on. Yeah.
That's speculation.
Yeah, they were trying to do their big one right there. I
Probably
ain't
just
gonna lie.
got regular glasses.
Anyways, that was pretty much it, folks.
Good job.
That was pretty.
Ass. Well, I'm glad to see our money working. I'm glad to see that. Cause school to shut down. Yep. Video viewership. Yep. I'm glad to see our money working good. That's positive. That's a positive already. Okay. Let's see where I want to go right here. Get this out my thing real quick. Okay. Paula did an interview on canceled as this guy's canceled show. He just got canceled. You can thank Trump for that. So he's basically writing out his time, and he did an interview with her. This came out. I don't know what she's gonna talk about. This came out. Oh yeah, okay. So it's Stephen Colbert, free fair use. It came out 2 days ago. So we're gonna skim through it. He's gonna ask her some questions, and we're gonna go to Tim Blacksville.
Town or city I was, the first thing I would do with the local
court to this president. That just less than a year ago, things were very joyful. There was actually a lot of hope associated with your campaign, and there was a lot of promise that we might actually not only keep this absolute barbarian out of the White House, but also we might actually make progress as a country with the type of people that we wanted to see in office, and a younger, more vital, revived political consciousness in America. What do you think of when you look back at that time and that feeling?
What I look back at is, as I said, how people realized the commonality and the collective strength and our collective love of our country. We love our country. And the thing about that experience is exactly what propels me to think about this moment and the future and not look back too much, which is those same people, they're still here. They still know joy in their hearts. They still know how to have a sense of optimism and faith in the future and to believe and to fight for that. And that hasn't gone away. And I just think it's really important that we never let a circumstance, situation, or person defeat our spirit. You can't let that happen. You can't give up your belief in what can be and what can be better. And in spite of I talked about it the day after the election. And again, I talk about it in the book. That was a rough bleeping day for me. And it was important to me in my speech that I gave that day, the next day after the election, to remind people to not give up. I am so aware of the joy that was there and the hope and the enthusiasm. And I just think that we have to remember it was not just a candidate that gave that. It came from the people who naturally have that. And this election cannot take that away. But let's be clear-eyed about it. Right? And let's be clear-eyed about what's going on. And that's why, people are taken to the streets and people are organizing and people are talking with each other and they're
calls in just a couple of, President Biden says he's stepping out of the campaign at mid-afternoon, something like that.
Yeah.
And half an hour later, he says he's endorsing you to take over. You roll on those cars. A couple of days later, it's kind of all over but the shouting. Everybody can see that people are coalescing behind you. You have 107 days.
Right.
What would you do differently, looking back on it?
Because
you were in a tough spot.
Yeah, there are things I would do differently. And again,
read the book. Read the book. We're all going to read the book.
But I will
say,
say,
you do the audiobook, by the way?
I'm going to do an audiobook too.
Okay,
yes, I will. And I'll read it. I'll record it. But the one thing I just have to say, and I've mentored a lot of people, have done that over my career. None of us achieves any success, it's certainly for me, without having an incredible team. And one of the points that I hope I make often enough is I was going through that 107 days. This is a personal and candid perspective from me about what that experience was. But I had a team, many of people who have been with me for years, who really were so invested. And as I say there, left it all on the field. And I don't regret a day of that.
You had a great team, but you also had a friend, a mentor, someone you respected greatly in the office of the president, who had just stepped away. What was that like when you saw?
Hold on a sec, family. I gotta check my. Let's see if you can. Crew, can you hear my mic? Obviously it's making this weird ass sound, but I had to plug it into the other speaker. Can you hear it? Let's see. How about now? Can you hear my mic? I feel like I'm all up on it. I feel like it's not doing what it's supposed to do. I feel like this cord is like, what's going on with this shit? This is what happens when I let Jesse touch my stuff. Let's see. Hello. Can you hear me? Let's see. Can you hear me now? Okay, hold on. Speaker check. Get this up over here somewhere. Oh my gosh. There. Can you hear me now? Hello. Testing 1, 2, 3. Damn it. Okay. Hello. Hello. How about now? Can you hear me now? Okay, I can hear myself better. Like, it's like, goddamn, I gotta be like right up on it. Let's see. Okay, let's see. Hello? Okay. Hello, hello, hello. Hello? Okay, how can you hear me now? Right. Okay, okay, okay. Okay. So I do like this. That. Hello, hello, hello. Okay, better. It's better. At least I can now I can hear it so that it's like all right. And so far she ain't talking about shit. She looks like she's scared as hell to do this interview.
At that time, and I wasn't going to participate in that.
Well, one person you did pile on, I know you're not here to say I told you.
With Tim Black.
I also wonder, how has she been spending her time, Eva? As you've been talking to sources, what has she been doing since her loss?
Right. She hasn't been all that visible. She's popped up here and there at different events. She addressed a group of Black Democratic women a few months ago. But she's largely been using this time to have these tough conversations about what her next steps will be.
Yeah.
More breaking.
The conversation is around one and only Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris has announced that she will not be running for the governor of California. And people are saying what she's going to be doing. The conversation now is like, what's she going to be doing? What's the plans for Miss Kamala Harris?
I don't really.
Well, let's get into that.
Trust me, like that.
U.S. former Vice President Kamala Harris says she will not run for governor of California. Today's announcement ends months of speculation following Harris's defeat in the 2024 presidential race. While the former vice president says her public service will not be in elected office for now, she didn't rule out a future run for the White House. NBC4's Conan Nolan joins us live from the newsroom to break down Harris's announcement and, of course, that reaction. Conan.
That's right. Kamala Harris said she would make a decision by the fall, but there was pressure for her to make one a lot earlier than that. And today she announced it this morning. The announcement came in a social media post. Former Vice President Kamala Harris deciding that after considerable reflection, she will not run for governor of California in 2026. For now, my leadership and public service will not be in elected office, she states. I look forward to getting back out and listening to the American people, helping elect Democrats across the nation. Harris won California in last year's presidential race by over 3 million votes, and as such was believed to be the overwhelming favorite if she were to run for governor. But there were plenty of polls.
You would think that she would stay far the fuck away from Democrats and not even want to run nobody, considering that, you know, like, who's going to take any kind of real serious advice for this? She lost. Like, not to mention, like, the FBA shut that all down. Like, seriously. Like, you would think she'd want to stay far away from Democratic anything. You know what I mean? And just like, you know, go on a serious fucking couple of vacations and just chill. You see what I'm saying? And how quick did that motherfucking book come? Like, what is it, 6 months in? Like, damn. So, you would think that she'd want to stay away from that, sell her little book, and, you know, do a little tour, and that'd be that. Like, she looked scared as hell in that Colbert fucking interview. She looked like she was shrunken into her seat, into her man suit, or whatever the fuck kind of suit. God, these suits are atrocious. You'd think she'd want to stay away from Democrats, considering that they really didn't help her. They didn't really, you know, they kind of like, hey, get out there, bitch. You know what I mean? And she wasted all that money, paying for what she thought was, you know, going to get FBA on the side of Democrats again and whatnot. You know what I mean? So, yeah, you would think she'd want to stay far away from that. So for them to say, like, any of this is like ridiculous.
Came in a social media post, former Vice President Kamala Harris deciding that after considerable reflection, she will not run for governor of California in 2026. For now, my leadership and public service will not be in elected office, she states. I look forward to getting back out and listening to the American people, helping elect Democrats across the nation. Harris won California in last year's presidential race by over 3 million votes, and as such was believed to be the overwhelming favorite if she were to run for governor. But there were plenty of pollsters who said a race could be problematic. Democratic pollster Cornell Belcher.
I don't think it's much of a surprise.
Some believe Harris would not have had an easy race. There would be questions as to key failures of her presidential campaign, such as the Democratic Party's declining support from minority voters and her possible role in hiding President Joe Biden's declining mental acuity from the public. Among those who are not surprised by her decision, Harris's one-time mentor and boyfriend, Willie Brown. The former San Francisco mayor and assembly speaker, now 91, recently on the State of Gold podcast, where he said Harris could easily lose the race, particularly against someone new to politics, such as former LA mayoral candidate Rick Caruso.
The public is looking for somebody that represents not yesterday, but somebody who is fresh and relatively new. He is exactly that.
Caruso is believed to be considering either a race for governor or a rematch for mayor against Karen Bass. Harris received praise from fellow Democrats in the field of candidates for governor, some of whom, such as Lieutenant Governor Eleni Kounalakis, had said she would leave the race if Harris had decided to run. Another announced candidate, former LA Mayor Antonio Villaraigosa, also praised Harris in a social media post, but had predicted this was not her race.
I don't think she's getting in this race. I think she's going to make another run for the presidency.
That was from December of last year. Now, keep in mind, being governor of California doesn't preclude you from running for president of the United States, but it would be extremely difficult to run the nation's most populous state while at the same time running a campaign for the White House. I'm Conan Nolan, NBC4 News.
So, Conan, you did mention some names. Who do you think, as of right now, is the strongest candidate for governor?
Well, it depends on who you think the public's interested in, in considering. To Willie Brown's point in that piece, a lot of folks want somebody new. That would eliminate perhaps the lieutenant governor. That would eliminate Javier Becerra, the former Secretary of Health and Human Services, former member of Congress, former Attorney General. That would eliminate a lot of them, and it would open the field. There's a very good chance that the candidate that will be getting the most attention and possibly winning this race is yet to announce.
Wow. Okay, that's interesting talk right there, Johnson. Now, folks.
Tim Black's BS detector.
Tim Black's BS detector.
Tim Black's BS detector.
I had a couple problems with this broadcast so far with that particular lineup there, people. Yeah, one of my first things, I got three things. First thing is when they said that Kamala Harris won't be running, instead she'll be going around the country helping Democrats get elected.
Right.
How are you gonna help people do something you can't do?
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, how are you gonna help people get elected when you can't help you get elected?
Exactly.
Now, I don't think people want you to come help them lose.
Right.
They can do that by themselves. They don't need no help losing. Folks, Kamala Harris hasn't won anything since she was Attorney General. But no, since she was Senator. I'm sorry. What was that? 2016? When did she get elected senator? 2016? It's been a while. That's almost a decade of L's. Okay, so let's be clear there. She did not win her primary. She didn't even place in the primaries in 2020. She ran for vice president, and that stink. Oh, that stink. So that's it. Number two, someone said it would be problematic. It could be problematic if she ran. It would be problematic for her. Yeah, it would be problematic because it would do just like in 2020, folks. See, this whole thing, Black America, you've been lied to. Kamala Harris has never been popular. She checks certain boxes. She looks black, but she isn't. That's an important box for the Democrats in the boule. They like that part. Looks black, but not black. And it's also very comforting to some white people. Apparently not enough of them, though. Okay? She just has a lot of stink on her at this point, and not much interest. So they told you she was amazing. They told you that you was whack because you didn't choose her. Meanwhile, nobody was choosing in their own state. And they want to make critics of her the bad guy. Like, I'm reporting what it is. Kamala is good when she has rehearsed lines that she can just spout off. She could deliver canned lines well. Don't get it twisted. When she was roasting Jeff Sessions back in 2017, I said, I'm on the record. I was covering politics in 2017, okay? And I was reporting on Kamala Harris in 2017, how she was looking formidable at that time, but those were prepared remarks. She has a team around her that says, say this, say that.
Right.
Yeah, want me to say this? Yeah. Look right there? Yes. And say that? Yes. Okay. And she could do that. A monkey can't do it. A doggy can't do it. But a person can. Any person that can read lines. That's what she was doing. And she's good at that, delivering lines. She had a good debate against Trump. Prepared lines. She didn't do that on the fly. We know what happens to Kamala Harris when she's on the fly. It's not good. You get moments like, I don't know what I would change. Nothing comes to mind. You get gaffes like, I'm not going to sit here and say I'm going to do something for black people that only helps black people. No. And I realized how that's going to be taken by black people. She didn't mean to do that. But my number 3 problem with the clip we just saw about Kamala Harris is something that many people are going to ignore or may have overlooked. So let me help you. It was around the time where the guy said, when he talked about Willie Brown, it's bad enough they're showing a Willie Brown clip in her shit. They're showing Willie Brown in this video about her. That shows you that they ain't got a lot of respect for her. She don't have a lot of gravitas. She don't have a lot of people afraid of her, right? They don't respect her like that. I mean, come on, guys. Come on now. Democratic Party would not normally put her out there like that. Willie Brown is speaking on her. They're interviewing him. They play the clip, and then the guy says, well, Willie Brown, her former boyfriend, what is this? I'm trying to tell you folks, the way they're treating her, the way this clip went, this is not independent media that did this. This is a random local news station that just walloped her. And I'm trying to tell you, that to me signals that she does not have the national recognition or the pull or the fear that she would need of people not bringing up things about her, which means she would get roasted, fam. She would get roasted if she would have run for California governor.
Right.
The gloves would come off and she would go down, which is why she will not run, which is why she dropped out in 2020, because it's worse to take a public L than it is to bow out and come up with a problem. You know, pull a hamstring. Say you can't fight because you got on your good shoes. You ever know guys like that talking good talk? Oh, man, I can't fight right now, man. I got to go to court. Man, I can't do that right now, man. I got arthritis. I would help you move, but I got arthritis. Yeah, it's always the people with the excuse, but in Kamala Harris's position, who she is. And let's be very honest here, guys. Very clear, Black America, she took $2 billion.
Right.
And this gets me upset. So pardon me if I get a little animated here, because Kamala Harris took $2 billion, and I want you to know all that money she got wasn't from rich tycoon crypto fraudsters. Some of that money was from little old black women who believed in her. She took their money and paid Oprah and paid
So
Al Sharpton and paid Roland.
Oh my God, Roland.
She took their money and set it on fire. $2 billion. She took money out the black community. You know what we could do with $2 billion? Not go to the African braid shop. That's what we could do. You didn't see that?
He's so stupid. All right.
What? I'm saying something I shouldn't say?
Nope. He said it right. He said it right. All right, moving along. This is my friend.
All right, family. IOBA. My name is TC. So I'm gonna get off politics for a while anyway. I'm gonna leave them white folks alone because I feel like I gotta jump back in to the diaspora war a little bit. Gotta get back in that. Because I heard a lady today, I believe they said she was from Liberia, talking about the diaspora war in a way like I ain't never heard anybody talk before. You want to go to war? We can go to war, she said.
Yep.
All the immigrants take a day off, she said. There's more Africans in this country than it is black Americans, she said. She was heated.
That's how they been.
And I'm thinking to myself, God damn, I ain't been, in the war in this struggle in a minute. I've been fucking with them white folks. So I feel like right now is about time. Right now is about time for me to update my position on the diaspora war that's going on.
Come on.
FBAs versus Caribbeans and Africans and Latinos and everybody else. See, because it's always been African Americans against everybody else.
Right.
Or everybody else against African Americans.
Yep.
Now, God damn it, I've talked about this several times, but I'm as Pan-African as it comes. But I'm a black American. And who knows his history?
Right.
And I'm a black American who's been around long enough to have, directly felt the civil rights movement. And I've seen awakenings happen a bunch of fucking times where, everybody started wearing their red, black, and green and whatnot. I've seen a couple of awakenings like that. I always been, since my Institute of Black Awareness days, that's why y'all hear me say IOBA. That's Institute of Black Awareness. That's a community center that we used to go to and learn about Black history. That's where I learned about Marcus Garvey, Huey P. Newton, the Black Panthers, all that. That's where I got indoctrinated, really. That's why I first joined urban drill team. That's where I started at. That's why I look the way I look. So we learned all about Black history right there. We had a whole Black History Night and everything. IOBA. That was me. I've been Pan-African a long time. Okay. I had to teach my own self the actual history of Africa and Africans and why it looks the way it looks, and the Berlin Conference.
Everybody has their own thought processes. I think that like I always say, man, Pan-Africanism is in my heart, just like Black nationalism. And I believe in that. However, I stand with the collective, and right now, that shit ain't suiting us. It's not suiting us. Doesn't mean that it won't one day. It doesn't mean that. Look, cause I still got my flag up. Cause I haven't replaced it. Cause I don't have another one to replace it with. It's not coming off the wall anytime until I have another one to replace it with. I stand with the collective, though. You know what I mean? And the collective right now isn't really feeling it, and that's because I feel like it takes there's a series of bad apples out there that make Pan Africanism, the whole ideation, the whole ideology, the whole fucking what it stood for, what it stands for. I think they just basically made it into they just trashed it for right now. They perverted it, they perversed it, they basically shit on it, and they made it to a whole thing that's now like an ugly topic of contention amongst us. But we're always talking about you're Pan Africanism, man. This is dead. Yeah, say whatever, man. But ultimately, I would say how I feel. Like it's shit's. I got my flight still up. It's still in my heart, like long, hard and strong, just like my black nationalism. You know what I mean? And I also stand with the collective of right now. It's one of those things, one of those ideations that don't suit us right now. It's not. It's not for the collective spirit of what we're trying to do. You understand what I'm saying? Doesn't mean that it won't one day make another return, like he said. But I also know what I know, so you know what I mean. That's neither here nor there. You shouldn't have to prove all that. You shouldn't have to go into serious dialogue about it. I just know what I'm saying is my my opinion, my truth, right? And even if I got another flag, which y'all think about it, it's like right now you just can't I just can't do it financially right at the second. Even if I did, I would just move it around. It would just be moved around. You know what I mean? Because I've had it for a long, long time up there. You know what I mean? To mention my other little things. So I think it takes a person to adamantly say, look, you can say whatever the fuck you want to say, but this is how I believe, and I'm not gonna push my belief system or my beliefs or my opinions onto the collective at hand. I'm gonna ride with the collective, and we're on a mission. So yeah, if it don't jive with the collective right now, it don't jive. But you're not gonna punk me out of my fucking opinions and thoughts, and just because that's what the that's what everybody's on. I've been following my own motherfucking beat. You dig? I do what the fuck I want to do. You see what I'm saying? Then you gonna punk me out of fucking taking my flag down if I don't feel like fucking taking my flag down or replacing it with something else. It doesn't mean that I don't ride with the collective and I just keep my fucking shit to where it needs to be, right here. Okay? Dig? But yeah, you can bully me out of whatever fuck just because somebody says it's that way and their opinion is that way and they feel that way. I mean, you can always make a return. That's what fucking trends do. They make returns. I mean, we're living in 2025 and we've already seen several things make returns. So yeah, it's taking up some decorative space that would otherwise be blank. So yeah. It saddens me though that it's been trashed by. I would have to say it's been trashed by the um diaspora, diaspora. You know what I mean? And they made it look really, really fucking shabby, really bad, and they took the spirit of took the spirit out of it. Definitely, like we really took the spirit out of Marcus Garvey. You see, we're not like all that excited to talk about him lately. You dig? So they kind of just like took the spirit out of it. I think that's part of it too. But like I said, a lot of this shit is a design to upset us and to provoke us to do certain things that we would normally not do. You dig?
And all that shit, and the tribalism and all that. I had to teach myself all of that stuff.
I'm gonna teach you on this.
Because that knowledge is always evolving. But I ain't never heard too many Africans try to teach themselves about the Black American experience. But I'll get to that in a minute. And so I
Like
growing up in that era.
there's a lot of vitriol and disrespect, and especially right now they're gonna be feeling it. But they're not trying to educate themselves on the good things of FBA. They're not. They're with the whites. They're with the colonizer views and the people who obviously have vitriol in their spirit about us. You know what I mean? They're not trying to learn. They're not trying to be part of the culture. They're trying to emulate the culture and eat off the culture, and then shit on the culture. You know what I mean? And that I've noticed because I'm part of the culture. I've seen that, and that's where the disrespect is. That's where it is, right there. It's like you come and or you have your already preconceived judgments and opinions of FBA and mixed FBA or whatever, mostly FBA, and you have your preconceived lies and notions inside your spirit. You ride with that, and then you act on that, and by you disrespect by integrating, dressing like us, acting like us, speaking like us, trying to talk like us, eating off of us, which is still like stealing from the culture. Even if you are from the continent or the islands, you're stealing from the culture. It's just as bad as when they do it. You know what I mean? And then you have the audacity to be judgmental, opinionated, fucking cruel. God, I could just go on all day with these words. You should or whatever, act like we need to submit or bow down. When in reality, you just need to kiss the motherfucking ring, stand up and clap or say thank you. You know what I mean? Ultimately, because without us, you would not be here, and this would not happen. Like there's people that have worked their whole lives, and they come from other countries, and they work their whole lives, develop families with FBA partners and whatnot, and they do glorious. They have glorious fucking lives, and they never disrespect. They just simply say what bothers them and make it known that they don't like certain things once or twice, and that's that. And once people got an understanding, they know how to deal with them, and everything is great. But they don't ever disrespect. They just are happy to behave themselves, and fucking be a part of fucking everything, and they get to have long fucking good quality lives. They build families. They develop careers. They do everything the right way. You know what I mean? And they live beautifully without any fucking problems. Because just like when you come from another place and you marry an American out here, you gotta adjust and fucking regroup. And they're even people who come from other countries, you're allowed to say something that you find disrespectful, but you're not allowed to fucking disrespect and drag us and disrespect just because you were told some things somewhere else, and then you know you're acting on it. So there's certain things, there's certain boundaries, and I like where this is going. But I'm with TC on this. I'm with TC on this.
All right, so fast forward a couple years, couple decades, or whatever. I started working with African people who immigrated from Africa. I started working with people who immigrated from Africa. And, depending on what part of Africa they came from, they had a different attitude. Now, there was 3 brothers that I worked with up in Syracuse named Michael Okafor. He was from Nigeria. Kiki James, and Lino Ariloka.
I feel like
Not sure where Lino
the
came
older
from.
version of this.
They 3 different African brothers. They was up there going to college because Syracuse is a college town. And then there was other African people in the store working. Pretty young girl from Liberia. I forget her name, but anyway. And I would talk to them. I would talk to them 3 brothers, and I asked them, why, because there was a lot of Africans coming in the store, and they always had nasty ass attitudes towards Black Americans, and I was a front end supervisor. They thought I was managing the store, so they couldn't fuck with me. But they had this attitude, like especially Nigerians, like they was better than everybody else. They didn't want shit to do with the black Americans other than buy their groceries and leave and make sure I get their money right. But for some reason, because I am who I am and I got a certain thing about me, you know who you can fuck with and who you can't. So that way I was the one you couldn't fuck with. And I always represented myself well. But anyway, like I said, they thought I was the manager. I wore a shirt and tie every day. But they had some nasty ass attitudes and they didn't want to fuck with the black Americans. Now, there was another group of people that worked there. Apparently, the McDonald's up the hill from us had some sort of contract where they was bringing in workers from Jamaica. So it was a bunch of Jamaican women over there working. They'd come in the grocery store, didn't want nothing to do with the black Americans. They fucked with Jamaicans. A bunch of them had husbands at home too, but they fucked with Jamaicans.
It's true. Like,
and I tell y'all why, because I
was at the grocery store down the road, and so I'm in the food desert. So I was at the grocery store, and I saw a really beautiful, really pretty ass sister, really pretty sister, and she had a name like a South African name, and I was like, but before I said that, I was like, hey, look at you, they got you working up Fred. You're trying to be funny, like just trying to be friendly. I'm friendly, right? And she acted like she didn't want to talk to me, and I said, I said her name. I said, are you from South Africa? And she was like, no, real rude. I said, oh. She said she didn't speak English. I was like, and she told me in Spanish, and I was like, fuck, man, now I don't want to have dialogue. Because she was like pretty, Nubian skin, long braids. You know, she was really pretty sister. So I asked her, I was like, in Spanish, to break that out once in a while. I was like, uh, she said she was from Cuba. And I was like, what? With a South African name? What? Working over here? What? Like that. I was like, oh. I was like, well, how do you like it? She said she was rude. She was like, are you, go ahead and run your thing, and here's your bag. And, you know, like she didn't want to talk to me. And I was like in my mind, I was like, all right, bitch. Like, rude ass. You know what I mean? The motherfucker trying to make a small conversation because, you know, there's only when I see black people go in there, it's they're either African or from the islands, or they're black Americans, and I could tell which one's which. You know what I mean? Because like if they're FBA sisters or people are walking around the grocery store that we kind of like keep hidden, like we would tell everybody about, right? Because you know it's like the last remaining motherfucker. I swear to God, we don't tell everybody about this motherfucking grocery store, even though everybody knows it's right there. Make like it's just strictly Mexicans that work there because they got the good prices, right? But I see us in the store, you know, the nod. We got the universal nod, smile, but hey, baby, what's that? The only thing is just keep pushing. You know what I mean? Looking good today, woo woo woo. Just keep pushing, right? In the grocery store. So, but it's a different vibe. Like that smile, hey, how you doing? Or, how are you? You're like feeling blessed. Me too. Okay, cool. Gonna go grab this bologna and I'm gonna move it on out. Make a little joke of this. Keep it pushing. But when it comes to the other cultures that go in there, they don't want to fuck with us. They don't want to talk to us. I don't know if it's the mood, the wind, the fucking moon, and the waves of the ocean. I don't fucking know. But it wouldn't be so bad. You know what I mean? Because like we know everything. Like I mean, not like within gossip people. Shit, just ask. We're a plethora of information. Not to mention, we're always trying to be sociable. Like I don't understand why nobody want to socialize with motherfuckers who are always kind of like 80, 75% kind of happy. Was for the majority of it, till you do something stupid or whatever. You dig? Like we're mostly like smiling, and we don't want no problems at the grocery store. We just want to say, hey, how you doing? Excuse me, pardon me. Let me grab that already. Hey, can you help me with this? Oh, cool, thanks. Look good today. All right, you have a blessed day. Okay, cool. Stay fucking blessed. Stay black. Stay dangerous. See you later. Till next time. You know what I mean? Like that's how we go to the grocery store. Like, and we come outside and we chuckle a little bit about our interactions with some random motherfucker in the store. You know what I mean? Just come out and just start giggling and then go back. That's it. That's over with. But you got motherfuckers like that are genuinely unhappy and rude on purpose to us. And it's like, why? All right, well, fuck it. I bring that motherfucking energy you want it. All right. You know?
I asked. Back then I'm that are in place to keep black Americans where they at. I told him to look up our real history and not what them white folks told him. I schooled his ass. I don't know if I got through to him, but I did. Now keep.
Sometimes you got to do that, TC. Sometimes you just got to do that. But they're not really trying to. They're not trying to understand. Like,
all of the resources that are here, that are opportunity. That was his word. We don't take advantage of the opportunity that is here in America, and we come here and we blah 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 blah. So I said to Leno, like, listen, brother, you don't know our history, and I explained to him our history. I explained to him all of the mechanisms that are in place to keep black Americans where they at. I told him to look up our real history and not what them white folks told him. I schooled his ass. I don't know if I got through to him, but I did. Now Kiki might have been from Ghana also, but Kiki was Kiki James. He was not as, I don't know, arrogant, I want to say, as Leno. And he didn't say much. And his attitude was a little different.
Like ghost orbs.
But they respected me because, like, I was the boss. And then the brother from Nigeria, his name was Michael Okafor. Michael,
they've been there all night,
was in town because his parents had a bunch of money. He was going to Syracuse University. His parents had a bunch of money. He was in town in Syracuse, working, but he was all about the women. He didn't have that nasty ass, he didn't seem to have that nasty ass attitude either, that better than your attitude, like bosses from home. But the general population, no. There was no getting together. Matter of fact, each other. There's always been tribalism. We, FBA, are a tribe. It's time for us, black Americans, to let people know we do know who we are.
Mm-hmm.
We do know who we are. We know what we went through to get to where we are in this country. We know how we made it possible for other people who look like us to come to this country. So
I was into For the Culture earlier. Jesse was playing on the show, and some African dude told Afro Lee looked like his brother, and he's like, "Yeah, what? So what if I do?" He just like snapped off, and I was like, "Why don't you just say thank you?" And he must be a good looking motherfucker, but he ain't from the soil, so let's keep it pushing and answer my questions. You think it's versus getting upset because we can look like a lot of motherfucking different people from different islands, different fucking parts of the world. And it's not necessarily something to be upset about, especially when you're pretty or handsome or anything like that. You can do say thank you, but nah, this is something else. He's obviously from your continent. You know what I mean? From the motherland, whoop, whoop. But nah. Thank you. I got plenty of brothers and sisters of my own. Over here, we from the soil. But anyway, he answered my motherfucking question. Where you from? Do. No, I don't want to see a picture of your motherfucker, bro. Like, just not to get so like agitated and angry about it because, it's a compliment, even if they are fucking getting on our last motherfucking nerve. It's a compliment to know that somebody recognized that probably had a little heartfelt fucking tether moment. You know what I mean? And probably just complimented you, say, "Hey, you look like your brother." Well, goddamn, I'm a good looking motherfucker. I look like a lot of motherfuckers right here. You know what I mean? But my hairline's straight and yeah, but this ain't that. Answer my motherfucking questions, you know? So I was just like, why? And everybody's getting so agitated. Like, look, it's not like we have made our point very clear. We're from the soil, from here. You know what I mean? We've made our point very fucking clear. Now they're just testing our fucking patience with the stupidity. And to feed into that or to get agitated by it is like, it's not really doing anything. It's not really helping. Especially when a motherfucker just gets on there, you can tell that they're not really trying to fuck with them. You're just trying to be complimentary or say something that was relatable. And you just, it's just act like it's just like, well, no, I know where I'm from. Of course, you know where you're from. Everybody knows where we're from. You think not everybody's co-signed that out of African experience, whatever. You know what I mean? We thoroughly are getting the education of what's going on with us. You know what I mean? And if you're handsome, or whatever, like son Jesse, I was like, I bet you I could pull like 8 different pictures of you looking like from another land or another continent. You know what I mean? That people would look exactly like that. You know what I mean? I could pull movies where he looks like somebody in the movie, like almost identical. So it's not to say that he doesn't know where he's from. Of course we know he's from the fucking soil. Like, come on, God, man. You did. So we can't just say thank you and make them answer your motherfucking question or whatever the fuck you're doing with them. That's it. Thank you. You keep pushing. Don't let them lead on to other shit because then it might get agitated. You did. But I think to be so, you know what I mean? Like you, that was like, so fucking what? You know what I mean? I don't know if we're saying you look like somebody or you have a twin somewhere in the world. Isn't that what they used to say? Hey, I saw your twin over there in Europe, or I saw your twin over here, twin down on the street in another fucking neighborhood. You did? So, fortunately, good genes will make you, good genetics will make you look like a lot of different things, a lot of different people. You know what I mean? Or you just look ambiguous like me. So, it's all good. That's why I said I would have just said thank you and kept it pushing. Answer my motherfucking questions or get off my job. Get off my job. You dig?
When you get here, you welcome. Just don't get all goddamn, sedity, as we used to say back in the day.
Exactly.
I know they vetted y'all before y'all got here. I know that the average person from Kingston, Jamaica, or the average person from Lagos, Nigeria, or the average person from somewhere in South Africa is more alike me than he is different.
Mm-hmm.
You see.
I'm with you, TC.
But when you start getting the top 10% of some people coming into a country and attacking the bottom 20% of the people that live there, well, then that's a problem.
Mm-hmm. Yep, because they're on their agenda.
All right. What's up? So, last week, IOBA, my name is TC. Last week, my wife and I, we watch movies on Saturday. That's what we do. We sit down and have our coffee and watch us a movie or two. This week, we watched some stupid shit. I ain't gonna tell y'all what it was. Last week, we watched some stupid shit too. We watched a movie called The Magical Negro with David Allen Greer.
Mac, you ain't shit.
Now, I've liked David Allen Greer for a long time. I thought he was very funny. But I ain't here to talk about the movie. I'm here to talk about being the magical Negro. Apparently, there's a group of Negroes who run around saving white people's asses and keeping white people from crashing out and going off the deep end.
Why would you want to do that?
Like Homer Vance and the dude in the Green Mile. I was putting up pro-black shit ever since I was 16, 17 years old. But when I go to work, there's always some white person there asking me for advice and me giving it to them and somehow saving their motherfucking ass.
Damn right. Don't do
when at the end of the day, they ain't give a fuck about me. Not really. Not like that.
Don't do it.
I have white.
Dude, we find ourselves, what he's talking about, we find ourselves doing this shit all the motherfucking time. Just because we just want to be sociable and act like we know some shit or we just have some knowledge to kick or fucking some life-saving fucking. Don't do that. You know what I mean? You don't want to do that. You know, that kind of shit side at it, but we just need not to. But I don't think we can really help it. If you really think about it, I don't think we can help it. I personally, I want to say, I want to be like half the time, I want to be like, man, fuck them, let me go ahead and kill them. But nah, don't say nothing. Don't. Hey, 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 hey. And we do it. And it's like, why? We should just let them keep fucking up. They probably wouldn't keep their jobs. They probably wouldn't do a lot of shit. I mean, like, considering how much we've had to educate them just to do certain things in the long run. Like I don't know, I don't get why we always trying to save these motherfuckers. We do it to everybody though. We always want to save somebody. We gotta burn that motherfucking invisible fucking cape of savior. He's right.
Folks from back in the day try to contact me through social media. I ignore their fucking ass. I hate to say it like that, but I ignore them. Why? Because they ain't really like me like that back in the day.
Check it out, man. I'm only doing it for everybody.
Now, you know, there's probably some white folks here now that on this channel, maybe not, that think I'm cool. But I'm talking about people who I used to work with.
Like after, for like
that
again.
I used to pull their ass out the fire. For example, there was a store manager in Syracuse named Rich. I ain't gonna say Rich last fucking name because he's still around. This sorry motherfucker got in trouble with a young employee whose mom happened to be a judge. Said all kind of racist shit to the kid.
Hold on, let me tell you why. Okay, first of all,
the boy went home and told his mama.
Chewbacca's been going live every day, like 2 or 3 times a day, and I like the last couple shows I've listened to because I don't get along with I just say I can't do it now because I swear to God I can't do it now. Like man, and Jesse be muting me since I be going the fuck off. Like I can't not. Probably because it's just not helpful. Like I don't know what the fuck. Like first of all, I think that what happened to girls with girl voices? Like you hear all these rough, mannish ass voices. Like where's the voices like mine? I have like a little dainty ass voice. You know what I mean? Like a woman voice. You got this like come on, cut it. Like if I already like I can't even be managed like that. I'm not cuss, I might say some crazy ass shit. I might say some real wild out the pocket hot voice statement, but it'll be in a girl voice. You know what I mean? It won't be like no unless I'm sick and I sound like Barry White. Like come on, cut, like Jesus Christ. And then like long drunken motherfucking like it's like come on man, I can't do it. And then not to mention it's like I don't know. I can't. So it's whatever. But we'll see him. Hopefully, he wasn't on the program last night, but I guess he was busy doing other programs of his own. I just said we haven't scoped it out because it's New Black Media Weekend, like always. So we'll check it out. But the last couple of shows, last two, not the last two, but maybe 2 shows before, I checked it out and I was like, oh my God, what is she talking about? It's an impromptu show. I was like, oh my God, can't do it. It's like mannish voices from coming out of girls that sound like mannish voices. You know what I'm talking about? Like Glorilla, motherfucking. There's a couple of voices that are really like not very feminine. I think, in my opinion, I can't do. I just can't. I don't give a fuck how. It's worse when they're pretty. Like, please be pretty and have a girl voice. But apparently, I can't get everything I want.
His mama called the store. There was some goddamn brouhaha behind that shit.
Wow.
Who did he come and get to save his ass? The white man. He brought the motherfucker to me.
Yeah. He hates us. But I don't say he.
I guess he wanted to prove that.
But I can't do her because like I can't.
There was black people in the store who he got along with, so he couldn't possibly be racist. That was the move he was making.
If you remember correctly, every time she would come on, I cuss her out and throw her out the thing. That's my thing. So the last time when I was over there trying to discuss my issue, she tried. It was like a whole checkmate, and I was like, oh no, like we don't do that. You don't check me, I check you. Like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? And this propaganda, like, come on, man. Like, some things are just not, some things are just not meant for me to participate in, I guess. And even if it was, like that program when I was on, I was like, look, this is not a, like, you'd have been, I would have been kicked you off the program. Like, I always kick you off the program. You did? Apparently, it's a different time, but for me, not necessarily, because that the voice and the drawn out discussion of whatever, and then the pointless dialogue is like, where are you going with this? Because it's not really helpful. It's not beneficial. It's not tangible. It's not good for you're not actively participating in it. And the young people can't get behind it. So what are you talking about necessarily? And nobody runs the doll, like, especially with a voice like that. Like, with any managed voice, like, you hear how my voice is. I'm like not talking loud, but I'm talking in the room level decibel. You dig? Not because it's sleepy. I can talk all loud as I fucking want to. It's just that this is my normal voice, my normal inside voice. Contrary to popular belief, I'm not a really loud talker. You know what I mean? But over the last couple of years, I've been kind of meant to be louder and louder and louder, which put a lot of strain on my heart. So no, this is my natural inside voice. Really, it could be low. It could be like, excuse me. That's why I got the mic. You did. So yeah, no. I just feel like I can't go over there when it's like that. Now with the fellas over there, then we had we had a great ass fucking dialogue one weekend. Great dialogue when the fellas were there. And I'm not opposed to broads on the show, because I'm not opposed, not even a little bit. Or elders, I'm not opposed. But when they don't jive, when we don't jive, because I can't participate.
And
Especially
I took the proper stance. What the fuck did you say to him?
everything.
And I'm like, what the fuck you bothering me for? I can't tell him nothing. And I just kind of, got out of it. I wasn't finna take no stance for that white man when I know he's racist, but the point is, I asked my son about it one time. My son said, Pops, you're just too motherfucking black.
Right.
So anyway,
I like to.
Magical Negro is what more often than not is going on in some of these friendships you see. Because
why?
A lot of times,
what is he mad about?
White folks have one black friend.
Actual lady. I'm a lady.
And black folks have a lot of white friends.
I wasn't so sick and swollen. I'd be in my dresses and stockings. I actually pulled some shit.
I remember one time, I'm going to go ahead and make a confession, then I'm going to quit. I did play Magical Negro on purpose.
I don't like wearing.
There was a lady at my school I was working at.
I'm a real life.
My wife worked there one summer with me.
On the house situation.
And she was about to get
dressed like a lady.
Washed right through there.
Act like a lady.
But she wasn't a white woman. She was an Asian lady.
Feminine.
And she needed some support. She had these big autistic boys in there. A couple of which she couldn't handle. The big ones was
what show is that? Dude, there was
wasn't the problem. It was the ones that was about 150 pounds.
I mean, you pay for this.
They knew they had man strength. They didn't want to do nothing the teachers say do. They had enough sense to know when it was a man in there and they couldn't get their way. So anyway,
tell you, man, that man energy, that it's not even a lift of bass in your voice. It's just an energy. That's why I be taking Jesse to certain things. I'm like, man, come on, I just need you to do what you do. It's like magic. It's a simple masculine energy that men have. That it's a beautiful experience, I guess. When we need their help, when we really need a masculine energy, just go find somebody that's a heterosexual masculine man with no, no bitch inside of them, and just go ask them and tell them exactly what you need. Exactly point for point. You know what I mean? So there's no, no misunderstandings, no lead-ons, just direct, straight. This is what I need. This is how I need it. Tell them, woo, 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 woo. You know what I mean? And just watch it happen. Shit. It's a beautiful experience. That's why I take them with me to the hospital. Take them with me to the doctor sometimes when I need some help because they're not listening or whatever. Because they don't give a fuck about us. You know what I mean? Or my brother, like for example, my brother has that same masculine energy, and if I need him to do something, which is very rare, but I'll be like, hey man, I need you to make this call because, and I don't know what it is, but motherfuckers can feel that energy through the phone, and you don't even have to get like super deep with it. It's a beautiful experience. That's what I gotta say. Women don't appreciate it enough. You really don't appreciate that masculine energy.
They put me in her classroom. She was ready to quit. They put me in her classroom. I had to talk her off the edge damn near every day and keep them big ass boys intimidated enough so that she could teach them their lesson. And that's what happened.
Oh, they paid you extra, TC.
And she won Teacher of the Year. And I was constantly coaching that lady. She was young like one of my daughters, and I didn't want to see her quit. And she was from the Philippines. She had a whole husband, wasn't nothing like that, nothing crazy. I could see she was really trying. All she needed was somebody to hold them in place for a while. My magical Negro powers. You see what I'm saying?
Magical Negro powers, cuz.
And I did that one on purpose. That was just me being a mentor to somebody.
Oh, you said magical Negro.
If I see somebody struggling, I guess it's the black person in me. We don't like to see other people struggle because we know what struggle really is like.
That's right.
The problem is when people don't appreciate it.
Yep, that's exactly the problem.
But just know,
he said he was using his magical Negro powers, cuz I was like, that's my friend. That's right. Like, how can you go wrong with that analysis? You know what I mean? Like, I'm a watch. You know what I mean? So I be saying that shit. Let me say some shit. I'm like, it's a powerful nigga right here working. He's a magical Negro powers. That was classy. That was classy, like a motherfucker. Glad we got that Kamala Harris shit out of the way. I would say, we're gonna speed through this next little bit because Jesse wants me to cover some things. Let me clear this out real fast. Let me see where I want to go real quick. I want to talk about the bras, but let me see. Okay, I'm gonna do this couple short little ones real quick.
I miss sitting where you sit. I remember that.
I hope y'all be watching the RVA because I've been showing him getting clowned left and right. It's South Africa. When was this? 16 hours ago. Okay.
The days of being a child where all you gotta do is get up and take a bath and eat and have fun and go to school. But once you get through high school next year, well, you got to pay bills. Gas bill and water bill and cell phone insurance. And one day you're going to get married and have children. And you got to pay for their education and pay for their protection. Life is responsibility. And the only way you're going to have a comfortable life is if you prepare yourself economically for those responsibilities. What is minimum wage in South Africa? Minimum wage.
3,000 rand.
3,000 rand per
month.
3,000 rand per month.
I mean, like,
you cannot live off of that.
I just wish it was a fellow.
3,000 rand per month is nothing. In America, minimum wage is $8.75 an hour.
I don't even know.
How are you going to pay your rent, pay your car, feed yourself, feed your children, take care of your wife, take care of your husband, keep a roof over your head on 3,000 rand a month? You can't. That means what? Get ready for the university. Get ready for trade school. Get ready for business school.
Why are you hollering at them?
You got to get ready. But some of you are sabotaging your future because you're not doing your work right here, right now. They're going to see all your grades. You think you're getting over because you're being pushed through school? You think you're getting over because you got pushed through 9th grade and didn't?
Why is he hollering at the students in South Africa? And why is he talking like he knows something about bills?
Do no work. You got pushed through 10th grade, didn't do no work. You're getting pushed through 11th grade, not doing no work. When you get to the university, they're going to give you a placement test. And if you don't score high enough on that placement test, you might not go to the university. Stop thinking you're getting over. The only person you're cheating is yourself. The last thing I want to talk about is knowledge of self as African.
How many students do you think you made cry that afternoon?
You know the history of apartheid. I don't have to give it to you. I'm sure you heard of the history of the civil rights and black power struggle in America. I don't have to give it to you. There's white people all over this world, and they think the world belongs to them. We are African people. We are God's first people. We are the oldest people. We are the most powerful people. But we got to take back what God gave us. And we will never take it back. South Africa will never be what South Africa is supposed to be until you become what you're supposed to be. It's okay to have fun, but there's a time to play and there's a time to get serious. There's a time to have fun and there's a time to fight. With apartheid, do
you think he's preaching what he lives, or he's just preaching preaching? Because the last couple of RVAs, man, it has been terrible. I'm just saying. Like, come on, guys. Like, why are you yelling at him like that?
In 1994, I watched it on the television in America. I was happy. I said, my brothers and sisters in South Africa, they finally going to get their freedom. Only to find out years later that it wasn't a real freedom. It was a mockery of freedom. Right now, the gold of South Africa don't belong to us. Right now, the diamonds of South Africa don't belong to us. Right now, the minerals of South Africa don't belong to us. But one of you in here will be the next Steve Biko. One of you in here will be the next Chris Hani. One of you in here will be the next Robert Sobukwe. You got to be. Because it's not enough to just go to college and get a good job and get a nice house and drive a nice car. It's not enough. God didn't put you here to have fun. God put you here to make this world better than the one you entered. I'm going to close with a quote. My ancestor, Frederick Douglass. Some of you may know the name. He's the greatest black leader in American African history.
Terrible.
My family was brought to America.
Doing this here in the fucking United States. You could be educating the school for young black boys. You could be doing this right here, man. Like what? Like this should be a slap in every motherfucking donor's face. Like for real. Like you can go ahead and do this in other countries, but you can't do this. You can't pull your shit together in 15 fucking years to do this for the motherfucking, for the kids here, for the boys here that actually need this. You know what I mean? I have to shake my head at this.
In 1701, a black man stolen from Nigeria. His name was Bailey, put on a slave ship and brought to Maryland. He married a black woman named Selah, for whom my youngest daughter is named. In 1745, they had Grandma Jenny. In 1774, they had my Grandma Betsy, born a slave on the Lloyd plantation in Maryland. A slave had no rights. We were not even considered people during American slavery. And so Grandma Betsy married a free black man, Grandpa Isaac. They had 12 children. One daughter was named Betsy, another daughter was named Harriet. These two sisters were raped by the white man who owned my family. In February of 1818, Aunt Harriet gave birth to the greatest black leader in American history, Frederick Douglass. But he was born Frederick Bailey. Cousin Fred ran away from slavery at the age of 20 in 1818 and changed his name from Fred Bailey to Frederick Douglass. My grandfather Stephen was born the next year, the product of a rape. He married my grandmother Caroline on the slave plantation. They had my 3 times great-grandfather George Washington Bailey on November the 14th, 1841. Grandpa George fought in the American Civil War. He married Grandma Annie. They had Grandma Caroline. She moved to Philadelphia. She had Grandma Vivian. Grandma.
You see how he's not saying any of them, or if they were mulattoes or not, right? Because they were raped by white people, white men, right? I'm just bringing that up. Just ask.
Vivian married a Spanish-speaking Afro-Cuban from Havana, Cuba. My great-grandfather Cicero. They had my grandma Ida, who died 5 years ago. She met and married James Johnson. They had my father Jamal. He met and married Margaret. And on August the 21st in North Philadelphia, I was born.
How much it paid?
Frederick Douglass said, if there is no struggle, there is no progress. Those who profess the faith of freedom but deprecate agitation are men who want crops without plowing up the ground. They want the rain, but they're scared of the thunder or the lightning. They want ocean, but they're scared of the awful roar of the waves. Frederick Douglass said, the struggle we have as African people might be moral, or it might be physical, or it might be both moral and physical, but it must be a struggle. Power can cease nothing without a demand. It never did, and it never will. Frederick Douglass said, but
Joey always has problems with like light skins, mulattoes, because like you just named like 3 generations of fucking half-breeds. You think gonna say like
20 years, I prayed on my knees to God for freedom. The good Lord gave me no freedom until I got up off my knees and started praying with my feet. He said, you want respect from the white man? Why do you look for pity? The man who pities you will never respect you. And the man who respects you has no need for pity. Brothers and sisters, I'm here to tell you that I expect nothing but greatness from each and every one of you. When I come back to South Africa, years from now, and you're 21 and 25 and 30, and you stop me on the street and say, Dr. Umar, I remember you came and spoke to me when I was in 11th grade. And I say, what are you doing with yourself? I want to hear I just got married. I want to hear I just earned my degree. I want to hear I'm opening my own business. I want to hear I'm finishing up med school. I want to hear I'm organizing South Africa for a real liberation, not the fake one they gave us in '94. I want to hear real stuff. I don't want to hear I'm homeless.
You used to be like, they'll probably be here in America looking for you. You don't have to go over there. They'll probably be right here looking for you.
This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org. I'm Amy Goodman with Juan Gonzalez. We spend the rest of the hour looking at climate news as a massive heat dome is bringing record temperatures to much of Europe, with forecasters warning of even more extreme heat in the coming days. Spain and Portugal just recorded their hottest ever June temperatures. Nearly 24 cities in Italy are under red alert heat advisories. In Turkey, more than 50,000 people have evacuated fast-spreading wildfires. France also saw its first fires of the season erupt. This comes after most of North America sweltered under, to say the least, hotter than average temperatures in June. Scientists say the burning of fossil fuels by humans is the primary cause of global warming. This week, the Senate's debating measures to include in Trump's so-called big, beautiful budget bill. Is set to shape in U.S. fossil fuel policy in ways expected to accelerate fossil fuel extraction, in part by cutting hundreds of billions of dollars of clean energy incentives. In fact, taxing more clean energy incentives. This comes as the UN Special Rapporteur on the promotion and protection of human rights in the context of climate change presented a new report Monday on the imperative of defossilizing our economies. This is Elisa Morguera addressing the UN Human Rights Council.
things that Brandon.
So what does defossilization mean? It entails prioritizing the phase out of fossil fuels, including various forms of financing them within and beyond the energy sector. It means recognizing and prioritizing the phase out of fossil fuels as the single most impactful health contribution. Defossilization underscores the need to focus on fossil fuels, also in connection with the growing production of plastics and petrochemicals, which cause an additional layer of human rights harms and further diminish nature's contribution to climate regulation and human resilience. Defossilizing our economies then means tackling all the financial benefits the fossil fuel companies are still gaining.
Morgera also called for a ban on fossil fuel industry lobbying and advertising and urged criminal penalties for those who spread disinformation about the climate crisis. For more, we're joined by Michael Mann, the Presidential Distinguished Professor in the Department of Earth and Environmental Science, University of Pennsylvania, Director of the Penn Center for Science, Sustainability, and the Media. His most recent research has been profiled in UPenn today under the headline, Heat Domes and Flooding Have Nearly Tripled Since the 50s. His forthcoming book with Dr. Peter Hotez is titled Science Under Siege. His previous books include Our Fragile Moment, How Lessons from Earth's Past Can Help Us Survive the Climate Crisis. Welcome back to Democracy Now!, Professor Mann. I was just in Geneva, Switzerland.
Wildfires in one place or excessive floods in other places. Those wiggles in the jet stream are tending to get larger and they get locked in place. So the same location is under a heat dome day after day, like we've seen in North America this summer, like we're seeing in Europe right now. And that mechanism is actually not very well captured in the climate models. It's an important point because critics of climate policy like to say uncertainty is a reason not to act. It's just the opposite. Our models may in fact be underestimating the impact that climate change is already having when it comes to these damaging and deadly weather extremes.
And Professor Mann, what exactly is a heat dome?
Yeah, thanks for the question. It's just an area of very high pressure, very hot, dry air. We've seen a number of them out west in recent years. We had one here in Philadelphia. We were under one of those heat domes. We had triple-digit temperatures, and it's also fairly humid in this part of the country. So you add those very high temperatures, that excessive humidity, and you're talking about deadly heat. Here in Philadelphia, we have a very large underserved population of people who are especially susceptible to heat stress. And so this is a real concern. It's not a distant concern. It's something that is impacting us now.
And meanwhile, we have the Trump administration not only moving in this new bill to reduce subsidies for solar and wind energy, but also to incentivize coal production, declaring the coal industry critical to the United States. What do you make of this direction that the current administration is going in?
Yeah, it's tragic. History will not judge them kindly, because at a time when we need to be accelerating that transition away from fossil fuels towards clean energy, they're doing just the opposite. They're doing everything they can to block, the continued expansion of wind and solar and geothermal and clean energy solutions. And the rest of the world is moving on. So what we have to recognize here is that this is, even if you don't care about the climate, even if you don't care about the human health consequences, any of that, if you care about the economy, this is the worst possible thing for American competitiveness, because the rest of the world recognizes that clean energy is the future. And right now we're doubling down on antiquated fossil fuel energy in a way that is making us less and less competitive.
I want to ask you a quick question. Dr. Mann, this just happened. The U.S. Global Change Research Program's website, globalchange.gov, was taken down, along with information on how global warming is affecting the country. What's the significance of this?
Yeah, I actually encountered that yesterday. I couldn't believe my eyes when I heard that had happened, and I went to look for those reports, those congressionally mandated national climate assessment reports, they're all gone. You can't access them online anymore. And the attitude seems to be on the part of this administration that if we pretend climate change doesn't exist, if we stop measuring it, if we stop scientists from talking about it and publishing about it, that somehow it'll just evaporate. It's such a cynical and dangerous way of looking at this problem.
I remember when I was growing up, librarians were all saying we need paper copies of everything as the internet, took over. And I just thought they were so old-fashioned they couldn't get used to the idea that the internet was the reservoir of, all global information. But all of this is being wiped away. But let me get your response to podcaster Joe Rogan's interview with Senator Bernie Sanders. Rogan pushed back when Senator Sanders said, quote, "The last 10 years have been the warmest on Earth."
There are some people who think climate change is a hoax. It ain't a hoax.
Wasn't a hoax.
I think the last 10 years have been the warmest on record. And we can create millions of good paying jobs transforming our energy system away from fossil fuel to energy efficiency, to solar, to wind, and other sustainable energies.
I think the climate change issue is very complicated. And I think did you see the Washington Post piece that they wrote where they did this long-term view? First of all, the reality is that the Earth's temperature has never been static, right? We could both agree on that. It's always been up and down. There's been ice ages and heat waves. And then the Washington Post looked at it. What was the time period that they looked at? That essentially they found that we're in a cooling period. What? That the Earth over the past X amount of years, and this was like a very inconvenient discovery, but they had to report the data, and kudos to them for doing that.
So that's podcaster Joe Rogan interviewing Senator Bernie Sanders. Professor Michael Mann, can you respond? He says, talking about this cooling period.
Yeah, they say a little bit of knowledge can be a dangerous thing. And here, he probably read a headline, this Washington Post headline, and didn't even understand the headline. Let alone actually read the article. It was about a research article that had been published, I believe, in the journal Nature, which I reviewed at the time and wrote about it. And he got it 180 degrees wrong. What that article actually showed was when you look back over tens of millions of years, and I talk about, the lessons from Earth history and what we can learn from them in our fragile moment. And this is related to this article. They're looking at the changes in climate that have taken place over millions of years and using a climate model to figure out what it tells us about how sensitive the climate is to increases in CO2. Now, in the past, on hundreds of millions of year timescales, those changes in carbon dioxide are driven by very long-term changes in explosive volcanic activity, which puts carbon dioxide into the atmosphere on timescales of tens of millions of years. What it shows is that the climate may actually be more sensitive to those increases in CO2. Of course, we are increasing CO2 at a much more rapid rate, 1 million times faster today. And if anything, what this study shows is that the climate may be more sensitive to this increase in carbon dioxide from human activity today. So he didn't understand what he was reading. He might have heard some talking points from conservative radio or television. This is misinformation. Some would call it disinformation, intentional misinformation to mislead the public about what is arguably the greatest threat that we face.
We're going to go fast.
The Environmental Protection Agency has formally proposed revoking the Obama-era scientific determination that greenhouse gases are a danger to public health and welfare because they cause global warming. The endangerment finding is the basis of a 2009 rule that allows the Environmental Protection Agency to regulate greenhouse gas emissions from cars, power plants, and other sources under the authority of the Clean Air Act. It's been one of the most important legal underpinnings in the federal effort to combat climate change. EPA Chief Lee Zeldin called the move to rescind the finding the, quote, largest deregulatory action in the history of the United States. Zeldin spoke on Fox News Tuesday.
After the endangerment finding came out, not only were there all sorts of mobile source emission standards, but they also came out with trying to regulate out of existence all sorts of stationary sources. They started applying it to airplanes and more. We're talking about many trillions of dollars. Where does the authority come from? It came from the Obama EPA deciding very creatively with a whole bunch of mental leaps that they were going to just claim an authority that we believe, after a very plain reading of these Supreme Court cases, we don't have.
While EPA Chief Zeldin was talking about dismantling climate regulations, Fox News was airing an extreme heat alert warning on the bottom of the screen. The graphic said 162 million Americans were under high heat alerts at the time of that interview. The EPA relied on a new report from the Department of Energy to justify the proposal. The authors include several scientists well known for their rejection of the scientific consensus on climate change. Meanwhile, the EPA's own data shows transportation is the sector most responsible for greenhouse gas emissions. The Sierra Club condemns Zeldin's move, writing, quote, "As if any doubt remained, the Trump administration has formalized climate denial as the official policy of the United States government," unquote. Democratic Senator Ed Markey spoke at a rally outside the EPA Tuesday.
Listen up, Lee Zeldin. The science is against you. The law is against you. You can try to censor our information. You can try to silence our scientists. You can try to fire hundreds of biologists and chemists and physicists, but you cannot change the science. You cannot change the reality of the harm which is being done by greenhouse gases as they are sent up into the atmosphere. The endangerment finding is backed by the science. It's backed by the law. It has withstood every attempt to challenge it so far, and it will continue to withstand any challenge which is being made.
The Texas climate scientist Manuel Salgado of We Act for Environmental Justice also spoke outside the EPA. He described last month's devastating floods that killed over 130 people in Texas.
Unfortunately, my hometown and the surrounding communities know quite viscerally what the danger of climate change is. Less than a month ago, on July the 4th, the area was struck by catastrophic floods. This flooding resulted in an egregious and frankly quite preventable loss of life. Over 135 people, including 27 children and young people, passed away at Camp Mystic. This is all due to supercharged floods from greenhouse gases. I cannot imagine how awful it feels to lose a child in a climate disaster. But what I do know is that if Lee Zeldin, Donald Trump, and the billionaire polluters that they serve get their way, millions of Americans will know that feeling quite well. We can't afford that future. We're going to continue to fight to make sure that the EPA does protect us from the dangers of climate change. Thank you.
Science and talking about the science as opposed to the process that is science. So at the Department of Energy, we released a report, which is sort of a critical overview of what do we know today about climate science, about climate data, and what impacts that might have on the American people.
So that's Energy Secretary Chris Wright standing right next to, in his interview on Fox News, Lee Zeldin. Let's start with David Doniger responding to this as he talks about pushing back against the Orwellian squelching of science.
Well, it's truly an upside down world when you listen to Chris Wright. He called upon and actually hired a special government employees.
Okay, yeah, so it's starting to get like, propaganda-ish. Okay, so we're moving along. Did you get the gist? That's something we need to be super aware of. Family. It's not just fucking hot. It's super hot. So this flooding, it's super flooding. Rain, fucking weird areas. We had like a tornado warning for the city, like downtown. Like, what? I was like, I hope they take all that white shit out. But In reality, that was crazy. That was yesterday, and it rained. It didn't rain. It was a lot. So just saying, this is something we got to stay really. They don't think that black people care, but we have to care because it's polluting. It's either pollution or it's extreme weather, and there's no help after the weather. Basically, on your own, if you really think about it, you can't really rely on anything. I mean, just showed something yesterday about the fires in Altadena. You know what I mean? And these people are still struggling. So yeah, there's so many questions, not enough answers. All right, let's breeze through this. Just wanted me to cover this. Um, Brawls everywhere. Brawls and mass murder. Mass.
We saw your post. Why did you post it?
I'll get into the mass shootings later.
David, when I first saw the brawl, I was devastated. But then I realized that there was more to the story. And there was, which changed my point of view.
What was your point of view before, and what did it become?
Well, I had questions about why would they beat that man. I was devastated because I know that is not the way our community behaves. And my question was, why would that occur? And it was not long after that I saw the first half of the video. And the answer was, this man agitated. David, I really feel like he came with the same attitude as the people who arrived in Lincoln Heights, coming just in order to cause trouble.
The prosecutor is saying that the people who they are calling victims were out for a birthday dinner, and they were walking through this crowd, and words were exchanged. It looks like the Caucasian guy reaches out and slaps the face of one of the African American guys.
Wowzers.
Yes, that's what I saw.
Is that what changed your mind?
It definitely is. Up until that point, there had been no physical contact. But I wrote what I wrote because I do believe that it's like this, David. In this country, we have freedom of speech, but you can't run into a crowded theater and scream fire. And for the most part, that's what this man did when he reached out and smacked that man.
So you wrote, they begged for that beatdown. Does anyone deserve that kind of beatdown?
Some people just need help asking, I guess.
I will say this. Nobody deserves a beating. There is such thing as inappropriate actions, and there are consequences to actions. And that is what my post meant.
You also said that you're grateful for the whole story. What did you mean by that?
Right. My question was, why would the community, why would a crowd of people jump on somebody like that? And then when I viewed the entire video, I discovered why. This man agitated the crowd. And, David, some people may not like what I said, but I said what I said.
And you still stand by it?
I do.
So,
no, that's right.
Almost as much as this fight has received attention, your comments have received attention. Bernie Moreno, have you seen his comment about what you said? People from all over the country with a national stage are saying you should step down from your position because of those comments.
Do it. Double down. Double down.
So what's your question?
Do you think you should step down?
Fuck no.
I'm not going anywhere.
There you have it. Yep.
Why?
That's how we got to be.
Because this is my seat. I come to serve. In this country, I have a freedom of speech, and I am a grown woman. That night when I wrote on the internet, I meant it. That's the way I felt, and I'm not going to back down from it right now. In this city, we have worked so hard to build the kind of community.
Look, man, I could dig it. I could dig it all day. She said what she said. That's a typical. That's kind of like the Brandy thing, right? I said what I said. If I said it, I meant it. You know what I mean? And I don't regret saying it, right? To you, that's my thing. And so she's totally down. Like this is it. Whether you think it's on code or off code, I gotta think that that's on code with where we're at. You can't just keep doing this shit to Black Americans and think that you're gonna fucking get away unscathed. Some people just need help asking for that desirable motherfucking outcome. That happened. So what? What she's saying is, she's like, just because I sit in the seat doesn't mean if I don't have an opinion. I have an opinion. I saw everything I needed to see. That shit it is what it is. I said what I said. I'm not taking it back. I ain't going no motherfucker where get asked for my resignation. I'm a shoulder shrug and keep pushing. I'm going back to work. Anything else? It's like, what's your question? That's a winning attitude right there. Look, that means you're not gonna submit to the pressures of them. You know what I mean? From this, I don't even know nothing about this broad. Nothing about this broad. Never, not one day. I know nothing about this broad. But I like that little attitude right there because she said what she said. She said, I ain't taking it back. Shit, I ain't going nowhere. I don't care what the fuck they asked me for. That's how I felt. That's what I said. And she said it so patiently, like, oh man, she looked like my mama except black. You think? So I'm like, ooh, a shoulder shrug, and that's kind of like where we need to be at. You know what I mean? You can't keep apologizing for some shit that they did, that they brought on, and keep made to feel like you gotta fucking apologize and submit. You know what I mean? And I feel like that's where it's always taking us. That we have to fucking constantly apologize and submit. So I could dig it. I like it. Because most motherfuckers would buckle me. Guess I'm step down now. Versus them, kicking me out or booting me out. I'll just wait. I'm gonna do my shit and run my race, and we'll see what happens when it comes time. Really, like you're not taking it back. You double down. I like to double down. That means you're serious. You know what I mean? And most of them, they instantly renege and go backpedal, like, well, upon further review, those poor Caucasians shouldn't have been. You know what I mean? She's like, nah.
Where everybody feels welcomed and respected and expected. And I believe, just like the people who came to Lincoln Heights this past winter, that is an attack on our community. Now, nobody threw hands in Lincoln Heights. And Friday night in downtown, the man had not slapped the black man. everybody would have gone about their business.
So I've told you about the national reaction. Your colleague, Mika Owens, came out with a press release. Have you seen that?
I have.
She says that she starts by saying that, you know, you're a wonderful civil servant. Your service is deeply appreciated. However, making comments that inflame a violent incident is never acceptable.
I didn't see that part, David.
First of all, how could she
that's what she said.
It should actually happen if you watched it.
So you want me to comment on it? I have no comment.
There you have it.
She is, you know, she's free to have her opinion, and so am I.
That's life.
And I'm not stepping down. And as far as the national attention that I am garnering, it's surprising because there's so much more happening in this world that needs attention.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that this entire thing has been blown out of proportion?
Oh, yeah. Indeed. Yeah, this is huge. You know, they talk about, you know, the violence in Cincinnati streets, and we, as civil servants, we work on it. We pay attention to it. When someone is hurt, it hurts us. We take it as our jobs to do the very best that we can to provide an environment where people live productive and rich lives. And so when things like this happen, it's hurtful. You know, I saw where our police department has been criticized. What I saw was our police department doing a wonderful job Friday and Saturday night. And so I just take exception to it, and I reserve the right to do it.
The police are calling the Caucasian guy that got beaten down a victim. Do you see it that way? Should he be arrested as well?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yes, he should be arrested.
Absolutely.
For assault.
Yep.
Does it bother you that he hasn't been?
Yep.
I believe that he will be.
Does it bother you that he hasn't been arrested yet?
Yep.
When
at this point
3 others have?
Well, I know that that the police department is working on it. They're working as fast as they can, providing, getting all the proof that they need. So I am patient. I am patiently waiting for everything to come out. I fully expect
I put a time
for there to be consequences.
Some consequences within the next 5 days.
You know, and David is too. You know, I don't celebrate the fact that he got beat up.
Right.
But I also understand why he got beat up, and I believe he does too. I'm sorry it happened.
Let's hope he does. Let's hope he does.
But you know, there are actions and reactions, and it has seemed to me that he was looking for trouble, and so he got trouble.
Certainly, you could not be advocating violence.
No, that's not what she said.
By no means. You know, absolutely not. I'm not advocating violence. But, you know, like with so many things in life, there are conversations that Black parents have with their children. You know, the one about if a police stops you, make sure that your hands stay visible. Well, there's another conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And you never start a fight with the white person.
Right.
But if they hit you first, that becomes a reason for all of the frustration and hurt and terror of generations historical generational pain to be released. And I believe that's what happened Friday night.
Yep.
So, do you think that this is becoming a political football?
No. More racial.
Yes, yes, I do.
Politicized.
And it's an opportunity that is unfortunate. Because really, don't they have something better to do? We have so much more to do in this city.
We sure do.
Than for them to pick at me. As long as I have been serving this community, my background, my record stands for itself. I have the right to my opinion. And for Bertie Marino and everybody else to pay attention to what I wrote, 2 sentences. I think that they've just been waiting for something because we are a democratic city. And at this point, they can't get in. And so they're looking for a reason.
Victoria Park.
Many people may have been thinking what you wrote, but to actually write it down in a public way, coming from a public official, I think has taken a lot of people back.
And?
I see. I can understand that because I've never done it before. I think that, a lot of people were thinking it, but they didn't say it.
That's good.
And I just did.
So you said it's violence.
It is what was on my mind, and that's what I said. I'm sorry he got beat up, but I'm also sorry that he agitated. And and I saw what I saw, David. They can make it political. I think this was this man going down there to start trouble.
Mm-hmm.
That was his intention, and that's what he got.
Well, I don't know what you do with the people standing around watching, but there are at least 5 suspects charged in connection with the violent Cincinnati brawl that left 2 people seriously injured on Saturday night. The Trump administration is suggesting this should be treated as a hate crime investigation. And while it remains unclear what led to the attack exactly, it is very clear about how violent it got. One of the most disturbing parts of the story is how many people were just standing around watching. Well, clearly not just watching, because we have so much video of it. They were on their phones. One person called 911. Now, here's a warning. Some of what you'll see obviously is disturbing, maybe even graphic. So now let's go to Brian Yennis, who's in the studio to take us through all of this. Brian, this video went viral, and parts of it are really hard to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. Very difficult to watch. Now, look, the video shows a white man being punched and kicked by a group of black people in downtown Cincinnati on Saturday at 3 a.m. The police have not said how or why this started. The police chief says alcohol played a significant role, and they've characterized it as a sudden dispute following a verbal altercation. Now, in the brawl, a woman appearing to try to protect the man is sucker punched by another man, appearing to be knocked unconscious. Cincinnati's police chief says 100 people watched or were involved, yet only one person called 911.
I think what they should be angry about is nobody called the police. That is unacceptable, to not call the police.
As a sudden dispute following a verbal altercation. Now, in the brawl, a woman appearing to try to protect the man is sucker punched by another man, appearing to be knocked unconscious. Cincinnati's police chief says 100 people watched or were involved, yet only one person called 911.
I think what they should be angry about is nobody called the police. That is unacceptable, to not call the police when you view this. Traffic was horrendous. People saw this. They were fighting in front of traffic. Why didn't somebody call us?
Vice President J.D. Vance spoke about this yesterday while in Ohio. Listen.
What I saw is a mob of lawless thugs beating up on an innocent person, and it's disgusting. And I hope every single one of those people who engage in violence is prosecuted to the full extent of the law. When you have a grown man who sucker punches a middle-aged woman, that person ought to go to jail for a very long time.
The Trump administration's Assistant Attorney General for Civil Rights, Harmeet Dillon, suggested hate crime charges could be filed. Quote, our federal hate crime laws apply to all Americans. We at Civil Rights will monitor closely how local authorities handle this attack. Now, Harris, Cincinnati police chief, warned yesterday the social media video does not depict the entire incident. One video, for instance, we've seen shows other people that perhaps were being beaten down as well, not just the one man. And I will also point out that there has been criticism from Republican Senator Bernie Moreno against the mayor, Pureval, of Cincinnati for waiting, what he says, 2 days to release a statement. And he says that he had not contacted any of the victims as of yesterday when that statement came out.
Well, look, it doesn't surprise me that we're going to see the proceeds of more video in all of this. We should see a lot. People were standing around with their cell phones taking pictures and videos instead of calling for help. I understood it took 6 minutes for anybody to get there and there was no ambulance in the area. I mean, that woman on the ground, that's a lot. Brian, thank you.
Of course.
Emily, I know that they will bring in more evidence. And
see what else he said. I just can't. We have to skip ahead. It's Fox News. You know, they're designed to cape for the whites. You know what I mean? So
sickening on so many levels. We don't know the whole story, but what we do know is the police chief went out, and I saw an extraordinary press coverage she gave where she tried to be blaming social media. That was the real problem. The problem wasn't this violent brawl in which so many people rounded on this guy. I don't really care how it started. Whatever it started, it ended with a horrific act of mob violence. Then you have a woman punched unconscious, could have died, like you said. But the real problem is social media, apparently, amplifying the wrong narrative about this. No, we know what we saw. And whatever built up to the moment, we then saw.
Oh, my God. This is media. Like, you just see why they made this look, right? It's always like innocent white man and innocent white lady knocked unconscious. Oh my God.
we're also witnessing this.
Yeah, and did nothing except film, to your point. You know, and that police chief coming out and saying this is social media journalism, and she was pointing her finger at the reporters in the room, I thought was so disrespectful. And by the way, does that tell you about humanity today? But beyond that, there's been a lot of frustration. Does that tell you about humanity today? But beyond that, there's been a lot of frustration saying, online at least, of saying that if the races were reversed, the coverage that this would get, the immediacy of the coverage that it would get, it would be enormous. And there's statistics to back that up. The Washington Free Beacon did an examination, both pre-George Floyd and post-George Floyd.
Oh, and that's all there ever, oh my God. Like, we didn't have other shit before that. Like, they always go back to just that, you know what I mean? And that's the start of our problems. You know, you understand what I'm saying? Not that it doesn't matter. It matters a whole lot. I'm just saying they always refer back to the George Floyd thing. Like, that was the start of all our fucking issues. Like, we just started acting out just then and only then. You know what I mean? And protesting against all this shit and saying, well, the shoe was on the other foot. Like, this, it's just a brand new thing. It just happened right there. That's how they always make it seem to me, which is not the fucking case. Not even a little bit. I was like, all right, so I'm done with that. We're done with that. Clearly done with that. One more. Yeah, maybe we'll have time for something funny. Okay, hold on. Now, Ohio. Ohio is broad too.
Now to Cincinnati, where officials are now ramping up security after a viral brawl caught on camera, reigniting concerns over public safety. And we warn you, what you're about to see may be disturbing. Police say 6 people were injured and 6 people were charged and 3 people were arrested following this violent fight. Now, the Cincinnati police chief calling the fight cruel and vowing to hold everyone involved in the. Police say 6 people were injured and 6 people were charged and 3 people were arrested following this violent fight. Now, the Cincinnati police chief calling the fight cruel and vowing to hold everyone involved in the brawl accountable. Now, Mayor Aftab Pureval recently acknowledging residents' fears that city's downtown area, it's not safe. And even Vice President J.D. Vance chiming in during a podcast interview.
Started with a scuffle. You can see it there. That's a video that police are investigating. And then the scuffle breaks out into these smaller fights. And then it gets into a larger fight. There's also allegations like I've started with a scuffle. You can see it there. That's a video that police are investigating. And then the scuffle breaks out into these smaller fights, and then it gets into a larger fight. There's also allegations, Ike, of some sort of racial slur being hurled before all of this, but nevertheless, we do know that authorities are certainly combing through this video, just trying to see who was involved. It seems like a lot of people. Just for context, this happened last Saturday, middle of the night. It's downtown Cincinnati, the bar scene, the club scene, all of that lets out in the middle of the night. So you have people who are possibly inebriated, tensions, flaring, that sort of thing. So again, police are working to get down to the bottom of it here.
So what exactly is the governor doing to help quell this violent crime in Cincinnati right now?
Yeah, we know that tonight, or starting today, they've got increased patrols and then armed units on hand. We know that the mayor, again, is working with the governor on this. They want to get additional half-brother. He is running for mayor in Cincinnati, Ike. And so he's been really critical of the handling of this. So that gives you some more context into why this has blown up the way that it has, going after city leadership. But tonight, the mayor is saying, look, police are on this. They plan to hold everyone accountable on both sides. So we'll see what unfolds here.
Okay, Morgan Norwood, thank you for that update.
They're really not giving no good angles, man.
Who were you conferring with? Deputy or
World War real fast.
Judge. Hello. So it's plea deadline date.
Now to Cincinnati, where officials are now ramping up security after a viral brawl caught on camera, reigniting concerns over public safety. And we warn you, what you're about to see may be disturbing.
Let's see.
Several people recorded the initial slap and subsequent attacks on cell phones. Ken Kober says those are critical in identifying everyone involved.
They're great video.
People recorded the initial slap and subsequent attacks on cell phones. Ken Kober says those are critical in identifying everyone involved.
They're great video that shows exactly what occurred. And I think that these people are going to be brought to justice.
There are also several city cameras in the area, providing even more footage of what happened. Kober tells me investigators are doing everything they can to catch
like a controlled street fight. But a witness tells me before the cameras began rolling, the Caucasian man was walking down the sidewalk with a few other people. Words were exchanged, and then it was on.
Actually, my girlfriend saw a video of it posted, and I couldn't believe it. I think I kind of have a tough stomach when it comes to seeing stuff like that, but that was pretty violent.
Especially when a woman takes a punch from a man right in the face and goes straight to the ground unconscious.
You must have thought, wait a minute, that's outside my house.
Yeah. I mean, there's unfortunately a bar across the street, and from time to time, they, late at night, there's some people who have probably been out for a while drinking, and, that we saw the outcome of it.
We could not get in touch with anyone from the Love Bar, but it's not a stranger to large crowds.
3 people.
No.
And who were you conferring with? Deputy or
3 people are now in jail on charges related to the brawl that happened early Saturday morning on 4th Street in downtown Cincinnati.
On TNN's Meriwether, Dakira Vernon and Jermaine Matthews are the first 3 charged in connection to that fight, the video of which went viral. Local 12's David Winter was at their bond hearings today. He joins us now with new details about the fight that has received national attention. David.
Well, we know
footage that totally disputes the slap being the first incident of someone putting their hands on someone. That right there is what predates that. That is the suspect over there smacking the victim.
That was a Cincinnati detective speaking about one of the 3 people facing charges for his part in last weekend's downtown brawl. 39-year-old Jermaine Matthews' bond was raised significantly today. A felonious assault charge was added.
Caucasian man reaches out and slaps the African-American man, which then caused his subsequent beatdown.
So you wrote they begged for that beatdown. Does anyone deserve?
There you have it, family. With that, I know I just skimmed through it because we're pretty much seen all of it already. Yeah, let's do some funnies real quick, and then yeah, let's do a couple funnies just real fast for like maybe I got enough for like 4 minutes, 4 of them, before he starts to snore his way over here. Yeah, I like what the city councilwoman said. And it's about time somebody told the truth. course there's some racial shit happening. Of course. And what, like, you just think they just want to act like black people just be acting out all crazy for no reason. That's not the case, not even a little bit. Okay. I like the onion, y'all. So I like the onion. It's funny to me. Here we go. Just a couple funnies, okay? They're only like 1 or 2 minutes. 2 minutes.
A developing situation in Washington where just moments ago the White House was evacuated. Sources confirming that President Trump, as well as many key members of his administration, were rushed out of the building after the White House's trans alarm went off. Footage here showing the moment that infrared estrogen sensors detected a large spike in gender fluidity within dangerous proximity to the West Wing. ONN's Jason Copeland joining us now from Washington with the latest. Jason, what can you tell us?
Yeah, Dwight, a Secret Service has confirmed that this was in fact not a test, but rather the trans defense system being initiated by a trans person detected within the White House's cisgender-only radius. Now, per protocol, President Trump, as well as other members of his cabinet, have all been urgently outfitted with hormone-proof vests and ushered deep below ground into their traditional values bunker for their ultimate safety.
A frightening scene. We're hearing reports of White House staff barricading themselves in their offices, texting loved ones, just waiting for Secret Service to tell them their pronouns were safe. Jason, just how close did this nonconformist get to entering the Oval Office?
Yeah, well, you know, I've spoken with some sources here that are still working to determine the severity of the threat. What we do know is that this trans alarm system is, of course, known to be hypersensitive. Vice President J.D. Vance has set it off on multiple occasions with his eyeliner, for instance. So false alarm still a possibility. But, you know, with the president's love of gender norms at stake, Secret Service isn't taking any chances here, Dwight.
Can never be too careful. Thank you, Jason. We'll have more from you later in the hour. But coming up next, living with climate change. Hear why some scientists believe the key to surviving rising temperatures could be shorter shorts. You've seen the news, now touch it with your fingers. To receive your monthly print edition of The Onion, head to membership.theonion.com today. With America's finest news source, the more you pay, the better the news. What you're seeing now is disturbing new video released today of Chicago police officers appearing to handle a situation non-violently.
Hey there, how you doing?
Body cam footage obtained exclusively by ONN captured what began as a routine traffic stop before turning into something far more shocking.
You can put your hands down, sir. Real quick, can I get your license and your registration, my friend?
Officers can be seen approaching the vehicle before issuing the driver a warning for a broken taillight, letting him go without even so much as drawing their firearms.
So just do me a favor and get that fixed up as soon as possible, all right? Hey, you take care. Drive safe.
Cameron Howard, who was seen in the video not being brutalized, says he was stunned.
I just never imagined anyone would ever be treated that way by the police, especially not someone like me.
While these types of incidents make up less than half of 1% of police interactions, law enforcement officials are assuring the public they do not expect anything like this to ever happen again.
When you wear that badge, put on that uniform, there are certain standards and expectations that come with it. This is not who we are.
According to police, the officers in question have been suspended indefinitely and will now be required to attend extensive combat escalation training before they are put back on patrol. Coming up next, it's becoming an annual tradition for many. We'll have more on the record crowds pouring into Ohio's annual opioid festival. You're watching the Onion News Network, the only cable news network that watches back. We have another key race alert, this one just coming in from Alabama's 4th Congressional District, where in a major surprise, a neo-Nazi candidate has won in what is typically a deeply Ku Klux Klan district. Jason Copeland has more. Jason, what are you seeing?
Yeah, this is a significant upset, Dwight. Nobody saw this coming. Neo-Nazi Lucas Brennan has defeated three-term incumbent Klansman William Kent. This district has had a KKK representative in Washington for over 5 decades, so this is a huge pickup for the neo-Nazis.
And one that could have massive implications for the future of far-right radical racism in this country. Did the Klan just get overconfident here?
Well, you know, look, the KKK was up in all the polls. I mean, I'm getting texts right now from senior Klan officials who are in shock. This is a deep white district. They thought this was a seat they'd be able to walk away with, but it looks like the neo-Nazis' strong ground game over the last couple of weeks ultimately put them over the top. And look, part of this can be attributed, I think, to changing demographics out there. You've got a rising percentage of young voters registered as neo-Nazis. You've got third-party Oath Keeper candidates who may have pulled some of those votes away. But the number one reason, you know, really at the end of the day, why they pulled this out, card-carrying Klansmen who broke here with the establishment and voted neo-Nazi.
Fascinating dynamics emerging. Now, Lucas Brennan has very little experience in politics, just 1 term under his belt as a local county commissioner.
Well, look, and I think that only helped him, Dwight. I mean, you know, just look at this exit poll where you have 64% of Alabama voters saying they felt that violent white terrorism in this country was moving in the wrong direction. And this was a race where neo-Nazis were running on a platform of results. And clearly voters were looking for a fresh face in racism.
Brennan also striking a message of unity in his acceptance speech, promising to be a congressman for all Alabamians in his district, saying, quote, "We have more in common than what separates us. We all want to aggressively take control of our country from the blacks, Jews, and gays who are making it less pure."
And it seems like that message was effective, not only in Alabama, but nationwide as more results are pouring in. Looks like it could be a huge night. Local races across the country. Still early tonight, of course, but we could be looking at a full-on Aryan wave.
Thank you, Jason. With this congressional pickup, the neo-Nazis now hold a total of 82 seats in the House of Representatives. Now, don't go anywhere, Jason, because when we come back, we're going to break down exactly which results would still need to happen for the election map to make a smiley face. You're watching the Onion News Network.
Welcome back to the White News Network. I'm your host, Bradley Paperplate. Tonight's story, an innocent white woman is in critical condition after eating seasoned food. HOA President Becky Blanderson was innocently shopping for sunscreen at Whole Foods when a young urban boy offered her a sample of rotisserie chicken. Shoppers said Becky collapsed to the floor immediately after taking a bite. Members of the Neighborhood Watch responded heroically by pepper spraying the urban boy. Local police were on the scene in 15 seconds, apprehending the suspicious character and providing Becky with a valet escort to Mayonnaise Medical Center. Doctors at Mayo Medical administered a life-saving dose of Xanax and Pinot Grigio to Becky, and are telling reporters she suffered from severe flavor exposure. Using extreme interrogation methods on the suspect, police learned that this wasn't just any chicken, it was blackened chicken. Citizens of Privilegeville have been told to remain in their homes and inform their HOA if they see anything suspicious or urban. Authorities are currently searching for the rest of this blackened chicken and have been instructed to fire on site. Breaking news. Citizens of Blackstone have re-elected Mayor Pimp for a 5th consecutive term. His new Pimp Out the City initiative this year has raised enough money to open 47 new strip clubs in Blackstone. Mayor Pimp received a grand total of 16 votes, which was enough to secure the majority. This win comes only days after the latest spring break controversy surrounding his wife, some YNs, and a club bathroom. The mayor says he plans to turn more tricks than ever this term, but he's still getting his 70% cut. Welcome to the Black News Network. I'm your host, G-Diamondback Slime. Tonight's story, a gender reveal turns violent when local bloods open fire on the party after blue confetti is released. Chaos erupted at the Glockton's backyard gender reveal when the cannon popped blue, indicating a baby boy. The husband's side of the family, all bloods, immediately sprung into action by lighting that bitch up. During the scuffle, some of the confetti floated into a neighboring yard, causing additional shots to be popped off in that direction. Fortunately, no Henny was spilled during the ordeal.
Hi, I'm Tom Michaels, and I want to invite you to my new laundromat, White's Only Laundry. We specialize in only washing in white laundry, so your linens, socks, and undershirts will look fresher than ever. By focusing just on white laundry, our prices are 25% lower than the other guys. Plus, get an extra 10% discount by singing our slogan at the register. Hope to see you soon. Hi, it's Tom again from the laundromat that's been in the news, and I really want to apologize. I definitely should have realized that the name Whites Only Laundry sounds racist, is racist, and that was not my intention at all. But we've changed the name and fixed the problem. Whites Only Laundry is now No Coloreds Laundry. It still gets across that we can't wash colored clothes without any of the racial connotations of whites only. Plus, to make up for our terrible mistake, come on in before Friday and you'll get yourself a free t-shirt. Just don't wash it here because it has all these colors on it.
Welcome back to the Black News Network. I'm your host, Rontavious No Cap III. Tonight's story, local rapper Young Venmo put on a show for his former high school. The graduating class of the Southside YN Academy for Scamming got a special treat as the rapper came out to perform his latest single, EBT Hellcat. The show was unfortunately cut short after Young Venmo's baby mama, Principal Twerkeisha Vibrations, alerted local ops out of spite. Young Venmo reached out to BNN addressing the incident, stating these hoes ain't loyal.
In other news, it looks like it's about to be raining at the club all week again, with a slight chance of flurries when the plug get there.
Welcome back to the White News Network. I'm your host, Karen Cul-de-sac. Tonight's story, an innocent policeman opened fire on an Urban Outfitters before realizing it's not that kind of store. Officer Troy Triggerfingers was off duty and shopping downtown when he spotted a building called Urban Outfitters, which he assumed to be a pop-up recruitment center for inner-city gangs. Once entering the building with his weapon drawn, he said he saw a group of innocent white women handing their money over to a minority.
They were handing like hundreds of dollars over to this suspicious-looking person, and nothing in this building is worth that much money. Something felt off.
The officer said his training kicked in immediately, and he began to fire his fully automatic Peacekeeper towards the suspect. At least 3 grenades and 200 rounds were discharged before backup arrived and neutralized the suspect with a choke slam. Thankfully, no innocent-looking people were hurt during the shootout. The suspect has been charged with resisting arrest, attempted robbery, and loitering. The Privilegeville Police Department spoke with the women and were informed that they weren't in any immediate danger in the store, but they do feel safer now.
No, he wasn't robbing us. We were just buying some clothes and stuff. So I guess we were technically getting robbed. He asked me if I needed help finding anything, and I have a boyfriend, so that was pretty inappropriate of him. He looked like he had an anaconda in those jeans.
The store has released a statement promising to change their name from Urban Outfitters to Suburban Outfitters and said they will perform more thorough background checks during their hiring process. Officer Triggerfingers has received a promotion for his heroism, and Mayor Milquetoast has announced there will be a statue built at City Hall to commemorate the act of courage.
What a true American hero. I'd love to buy that man a beer and let him take my wife to the movies.
Welcome back to the Black News Network. Tonight's story, a father of 2 returned home from the grocery store today to discover another man at his baby mama crib. Here's Tyrone with more.
Yo, what's up, Marcus? I'm here outside the crib where that baby mama stay, and apparently that ain't her damn car.
On Saturday morning, Jaquavian Snickerdoodle left to get some milk. He said he was shocked when he come home 10 years later and find another man in that house.
Ain't no damn way. That's my Uncle Reggie's car.
Well, ain't that some shit? Up next on BNN, the semi-annual YN Festival is only a few days away, and we asked the block if they ready to turn up.
And y'all be wondering what they doing over there. Well, we found out, and we gonna tell you about it after the break.
In a world where ops lurk, baby daddies sneak, and your cousin might rob you if he off them perks, you can't trust the streets, but you can trust Op Alert.
Welcome aboard the Hellcat Cruiser. Enjoy spades, Henny happy hour, ice cream socials, and even morning church service.
Girl, please, you know he was looking at me all night. Honey, the only thing he was looking at was the exit.
Welcome back to the Black News Network. This is a developing story tonight. The mayor's wife is getting a train ran on her by some local YNs. Gotta love spring break.
All right, that's enough.
Like, what's supposed to happen after a fight?
I'm done. Okay. I'm done. That was fun. All right, everybody. I just thought I'd end it on a funny note. Thank you for watching the Revolutionary Agenda. Hope you learned some shit. Hope you learned some stuff. Join us tonight for Frontline Black News Part 2 and another episode, hopefully, of the RBA. I have some serious other stuff that I like to cover. We could go over or at least look at. take a gander. I'm gonna get off the thing though because just to start getting ready and I have to get off this computer. So, join us later on tonight for Frontline Black News at 10 o'clock. Watch last night's episode. Hope you enjoyed this episode. And just say hi to the people. Grand Rising. So yeah, we're gonna have a good afternoon or good day. Grand Rising. Enjoy your Sunday, and we'll see you here in a couple of hours. Thanks, Mac and Ray, for coming through and hanging out with me. It was fun. So see you all later on this evening. Jesse got the food bank coming up shortly, so you could join him on his live then. All right. Stay black, stay dangerous, stay favored. And yeah.